All right. So if you're ready, then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
9.
Jesus Christ, that was bad.
Well, this is what I always have to do. You guys never hear that side, but it always sounds bad before I sync it.
I'm so
that was
excited.
real bad.
I think adding the extra person makes it just extra.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to We Can't Code and We Criticize Video Game Podcast. My name's Ben.
Nope.
And my name is
almost
Mike.
messed that up.
Welcome to our podcast. Don't worry about that other person.
I should just not say anything so they think that the last two podcasts they kicked me out of, and it's just you two now.
We've finally taken over.
All right,
This
let's
is
try this.
ours.
Let's try this again. Hey, welcome to episode 40 of We Can't Code, so we criticize weekly video game podcast between three friends. My name is Ben.
My name is Cole.
Who goes second? I'm third. I'm Sam. Hello.
Yeah.
Our coordination is on point tonight.
Oh, it's
Always is.
When you fall off a bike, you gotta get back on that horse.
Yes, exactly.
All right, this episode clearly is a little bit different from the other ones. We have, basically the last two episodes we decided were golden, and we figured let's just monster mash all that together. So now we've got three hosts, so extra 50%. There you
Really,
go.
I thought I got kicked off the podcast. That's why Sam took my place last week. So,
Well,
I was
kept
we were
that's
trying. You know, we were trying.
I mean,
you found
I know,
out where we were, though.
I know you guys really just wanted me to come back for my anime corner. That's why I'm here.
You guys start
Anime,
adding
anime.
sound effects, you know? Some anime sound effects when it's Cole's turn to talk.
So we can, I can, Sam, you and I can just dub them in. We'll do like very dramatic anime sound effects, like, or like, I don't know.
Oh!
The sounds that people make when they're not talking, but they need to like make a voice, like, So,
All right, let's get into it.
all right.
Yeah, Ben,
we've-
how's your week been?
Oh shit, you're gonna ask me how my week was? It was great. So I'm gonna say really quickly, because we've got three people and none of us probably want this thing to last 4 hours, we're gonna do a faster and expedited version of the How Was Your Week. So not gonna spend too much time on it. I did two things this week. Three things, I lied. The only game I played was Spider-Man, and I'm getting through that. So the game is very good, but my only problem is that it's lacking some variety, and at this point I'm just kind of playing the game just to get through it. I mean, all I do is just throw people off the roof now, and that's about it.
But you're Spider-Man. You can do whatever a spider can.
Well, yeah, but I can web them
Sing
up
the song.
and I can...
Spider-Man, Spider-Man.
I can sing the song in the game. All I do, there's a button when you're not fighting, when your guy's in like passive, non-aggressive mode. If you go down to the street, like the attack button is just to wave at people. So I spend a lot of time waving at people.
Can you make people take pictures with you?
No, but people ask if they can take a picture, and then I'm like, yeah, of course, and then they never take a picture because they're stupid AI.
But you have your own camera in that game. You gotta just jump in there and start taking selfies with everyone.
Well, you can't. I don't think you can take a selfie. You can do like cinema mode, and you can take pictures of them. But then the person's like, "Why is Spider-Man taking a picture of me?"
Merry Christmas is a picture from Spider-Man of you.
Yeah, can I
For
take
you.
a picture of you? Yeah, here, let me take a picture of you instead.
Yeah. Can I get a picture? Yeah. Here you go, idiot.
God, this guy all these people always ask me to take pictures of them. I don't know why.
So, guys, you won't believe it. I saw Spider-Man, and I've got photo proof. This is just a picture of you.
Oh God.
So the game is just really freaking boring right now. Like, they threw all these villains at me in the last hour that I played, and at this point I just don't even really care. Like, it's the swinging is good, the basic gameplay and everything about it is great, but it just is very repetitive. The story isn't strong enough to really like make me care too much. It's like typical, like, I'm gonna destroy the world, and like there's no twists and turns about it, so it's like, who cares? I think I gave this game a review score before, and as like a mid playthrough now, before it was early impressions, I would say now it's like a 7.5 out of 10. Really good. It just like the engine and everything works, but it just feels repetitive now, I guess. So there's Spider-Man.
How many of the villains have you fought? Have you fought the Green Lantern and the Dust guy?
Green
And,
Lantern is... You mean the Green Goblin or the Hobgoblin?
Yeah,
Did
and
you
the,
beat
the,
him,
the
Spider-Man?
Venom Man.
I mean, Superman. Have you beat him yet?
Oh, that's DC. And Spider-Man is Sony, obviously, so I'm fighting like VHS players
Get out of here, you CD player bastards!
and Bose headphones. Who are the natural supervillains of Sony? Maybe like
Samsung.
Xbox.
Xboxes.
I'm fighting just a pile of Xboxes.
They're coming at you.
Yeah, so like the person that you work for in the game is Dr. Octavius, who is obviously Doc Ock. I mean, I don't think you have to know much about Spider-Man to know that he's Doc Ock. And the whole time he's working on prosthetics. And, like, you know exactly where this is gonna go. And I'm, like, 10 hours into the game, and the guy's like, I was Doc Ock the whole time! And it's just like, oh, God, please.
Very unexpected.
What a twist.
Like, I know that they weren't really going to go for a twist, but it's like, where do you think the story is going to go? When it becomes so predictable, it's really hard to pay attention. So it's just funny that it was like, I know that I'm eventually gonna have to fight this guy, and then sure enough, I have to fight the guy. Like,
Hey, there's that off chance that you don't have to fight that guy.
well,
Right.
as it is right now, I haven't fought the guy, but I might have to fight the guy. He's hurting me.
All right, you might have to fight the guy if he's hurting you.
Maybe you fight the guy, maybe you probably fight the guy. So, Spider-Man, 7.5 out of 10. Very good. Just, maybe the DLC will add some more to it, but right now it just kind of feels like there was all this additional shit to do in the city, and I just stopped doing it. I'm just playing the plot just to get through with it, because I really want to get to my next game on my to-do list. Okay, so then, other than that, well, I could talk about the two movies I saw, or you guys, how about you talk about your games? So, Sam, let's hear from you. What games have you played?
Wow, Sam's already replacing me. You picked him over me.
So, the last podcast we did was like 4 days ago, and the only game that I have played since then is League of Legends.
So
That is
what's League of
literally
Legends?
The only game I played. I played in a Clash tournament last weekend without Cole because he sucks and he got kicked off the team.
Actually, I want to know, how did the Clash tournament go? Was
So
it better than last time?
the first day, we
Well, they didn't
won.
have you.
So
Of course.
obviously it was better. We actually had a competent top laner. The first day we won the first game and lost the second game, and the second day we lost the first game and then won the consolation tournament. So we actually won 2 games on Sunday,
Hey.
whatever day it was.
On Natter Day?
Yes, of course.
How drunk were you during this tournament?
Moderately drunk.
3 out of 10.
Typically, I'm about a 3 out of 10 drunk.
Wake up, 3 out of 10. Go to work, 3 out of 10.
It was fun. I had a lot of fun. It's really fun to play League of Legends in a more competitive mindset with like a full team of 5. I haven't done that since college. And
Yeah.
The games felt like they had more weight to them, more consequences for making terrible decisions. And,
Yeah. I agree. And like when we did the week before, I'm not gonna lie, that extra pressure, like it was kind of stressful playing like competitively as a team. Because usually when you play League, it's solos or duos, so you can just blame other people when something goes wrong. You don't want to feel bad and just blame your own teammates.
Why did you buy 6 pairs of boots?
I have lots of feet.
Because I'm playing Elise, I'm a spider.
One boot for each foot, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's a lot more stressful for sure. When you mess up and everybody's like kind of silent, you're like, "Yep, I probably just lost the game for us," and it
Yeah.
feels bad. Or in solo queue, it's like, oh, we were gonna lose anyways, so whatever. You gotta try
Fine,
something.
boots. I'm a cobbler now.
The other piece of playing competitively like that is you get 5 bans in League, and when you do it competitively like that, the other teams get to see what you play. So it really throws you off when the team bans out some of your best champions. So for me, who only plays a single champion, it was super stressful. Oh god, I gotta learn how to play this other person real quick. Please don't ban him. Maybe I'll be able to play him. I'll be okay, maybe.
Guys, I guess I'm going Tarek top.
Yeah, getting target banned sucked. I learned that I'm basically only good at one champion, and when I wasn't on that champion, things weren't going as well.
So, Cole, who is your best champion? Sam, who is your best champion?
I am an god.
Okay.
I think we can leave it at that.
Yeah, just leave it right there.
You and Mike played that guy a lot. Okay.
I am a Leona one trick at this point.
Ooh. Did Leona get banned out week 2?
I actually had to play a lot of ADC week 2. We got
okay.
Kayn a couple times, so I played ADC.
Nice.
All right. So then just League?
That was the only game I played this week. I guess I did play a couple games of Counter-Strike, but, what's there to talk about? Click on their heads, win the game. It's it. Simple game. Math, equations, calculus, economies. That's the word I was looking for.
Counter-Strike, right?
Economies.
It's all about that econ, man.
It is. It's an economy simulator with guns.
That's basically life.
And that is why it's my game of the year.
Can I save up enough money to be better than everyone else and make everyone else poor?
Yes.
So
if you shoot them better than they shoot you.
That's the trick to winning CSGO. Shoot better than they shoot.
That's the whole game right there.
And then you make them poor. It's perfect.
Dang. So before we move on to Cole, then for Cole's game, Sam, how many more days or matches do you have in this tournament?
I don't think there's any this weekend. If there are, I haven't been invited, so it's possible I also got kicked off of the team.
Ooh, I was about to say, I thought we had practice this week.
Shit.
Cole, we already announced that you were kicked off.
You don't understand. I got brought back. I'm replacing Sam.
Yeah, we got this shitty Leona on our team. Yeah.
I don't know if there's any more. Probably taking a break for the holidays, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Got Christmas in a week, and Hanukkah's probably going on or something. I don't know anything about Hanukkah.
We don't have Mike here anymore.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to touch that subject, but that was pretty funny.
All right, Cole. What about you? Playing your second go-through of Three Houses, I assume?
I am drinking my Miller High Life, and
we didn't ask you about your alcoholism, Cole.
It's what I'm playing. It's called Drink the Beer.
Playing the game of life. I'm losing.
But no, I play a little bit of Subnautica, but I've actually had friends in town the past weekend, and then I've had to bring my Switch into work because we've been playing a bunch of Mario Party, actually. Kind of just like for the holidays, my work has been having some fun little lunch parties where they order pizza and we kind of just hang out, play different games. So I've been bringing my Switch in to play Mario Party, and we've been just doing the normal Mario Party setup, but doing it as teams, which has been kind of fun. So after every minigame, you switch off with your partner, and they get to continue on till the next minigame. So we've had groups of 8 playing so far, and it's been kind of fun doing that at work. And now some of my coworkers want to kind of continue to do that. Yeah,
Dang.
And once again, like, that's kind of like my always go-to game when I have friends over. So had some friends visiting this weekend from Montana, so I've been playing, or we played a little bit of Mario Party, doing the tag team co-op mode in there. So
Does that game have... I think I asked this last time. Does that game have online? Because it sounds awesome, but I've got, like, no one to play with. I mean, even if it did have online, it would be weird for us to play together and still be the same amount of fun. Like, half the fun of those games is grabbing your opponent's controller and unplugging it, or, like, throwing it across the room or something.
well, I never cheat like that, so I would have
You've
to
never
say
played the game.
I'm playing it wrong, apparently. There is online. The online is mainly focused on just doing like mini game challenges.
Okay.
So, like best out of 10 for mini games. You don't actually get to play the boards at all for online.
Just cut all that bullshit out of there.
Yep, cut out the whole game board.
Cut out the middleman.
But I mean, I'm pretty lucky because Cass loves to play it, so it's like our go-to travel game.
Yeah.
Anytime we fly anywhere, we take it with us and we just play Mario Party on the plane.
So you two play it pretty frequently with just two people. So it's fun. You don't need to have a whole group to have fun with it. It's still pretty viable with just two.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is because they added a tag team mode where you play like the normal Mario Party board, but with two people on each team. And I think that works out really well because we both have a computer on our team.
Okay.
And then play against each other. So it makes it kind of fun because we don't know what the computer's going to do. The computer always goes the opposite direction we want it to. So it adds in that kind of like random factor, so we get to just play against each other, which is fun.
Yes. So it's the equivalent of having like your aunt or your uncle play with you who has never touched a controller before.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, go left. Go left. That's right. Go left.
God,
Hit the A
damn
button.
Peach, why do you always have to go over there? Stop going into the corner. Damn it.
Basically. All right. I love that whenever each side has an equal handicap.
Mm-hmm. No, it worked out pretty well. So, and then,
I just gotta say, you work at a weird place. You know what I do at work? I work. I don't sit around at lunch playing Mario Kart Party game.
Mario Kart.
you goddamn millennials.
Hey,
back in my day, we went to work.
Just because part of my work this week has been talking about starting our own religion called the Church of Chain Wednesdays, where we celebrate the different chain restaurants by going to a different one every week. Doesn't mean I'm not actually working, okay?
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
No.
Sam, there's that old phrase of work hard, Mario Party hard. So
I have never heard that one before. I will be honest.
Yeah. No, it's new. It's official. It just came out.
All right, Cole, you do anything else this week that you want to talk about or brag about?
Sure.
Or whatever?
I'll talk a little bit about Subnautica because I'm still playing that.
Do you play that at work on your lunch break, or like not on your lunch break, or just whatever?
Been playing
do you go to work? Do you have a job? Are you homeless?
Could be
He's a Twitch streamer.
Yeah, I was at work the other day playing Mario Party with my friends. You're in the back alley in a cardboard box with some rats.
My boss was like, "Can you get this paperwork done?" And I was like, "You don't own me." And so then we played Mario Kart for the next 3 hours. Then I got a check.
Yeah.
So Subnautica.
So Subnautica. I've gotten to the point in the game where I can get to 900 meters down, which at that point everything gets super spooky. Not to spoil too much, but there is kind of an underwater graveyard because the deeper you go, that's like where everything kind of goes to lay to rest in most normal oceans. So it's kind of cool that I've got gotten to that point, but it's also everything is extremely dark, and I am getting super jumpy at this point. But it's been really fun. And then also I've created a new, two new ships. One is called the Cyclops, which is your like mega base submarine.
Do you get to name your own ship? Like, did you come up with that name?
So that's what the model is called, but you actually get to name your ship yourself.
What's
because
your
it shows
ship called? The One-Eyed Monster, the Cyclops.
because I always chicken out on things. I just called it the Just Do It because I don't want to chicken out. I just want to keep going down, so I just do it. Don't
Shia
judge
LaBeouf
me.
just do it, or Nike just do it?
Oh, the Shia LaBeouf Just Do It.
Can
Okay.
it be? Why not both?
No, it has to be only Shia. Okay. So I got
Rest in
that,
peace.
which is super cool because it's this huge submarine that actually acts partly as a base, so you can actually store and build equipment on your ship, and it can store the smaller submersible on it as well.
May I recommend that when Just Do It explodes in some inevitable crash, you get your next ship and you call it Just To It.
God damn it!
That was terrible.
Didn't.
All right, so we can just end the podcast right there. Good enough.
All right, guys, it's been fun. I'll talk to you next week.
Yep.
Kill me.
So the only
So-
other thing I've done is there's also another submersible.
I want to hear. Oh, okay. You're still talking about Subnautica. Okay,
Yeah,
I thought you
I
were
wasn't
moving on
done.
from there.
No.
Okay.
So the other thing that I've built, that I finally got to build, is called the prawn suit. It's your underwater like drilling suit that works as like an exoskeleton. I
Okay.
just got it last night. You pretty much can just control the left and right arms, and so far I've been just going around the seafloor punching fish to death.
All right.
Stupid fish.
I go to all the ones that have been like the small ones that have been like trying to eat me recently. I just go over to them and start punching them. It's like, payback, bitch! I got me an upgrade.
Dang. That's awesome. How is that not the tagline? How am I just hearing right now that you can punch fish?
Subnautica, punch fish.
Better than Minecraft punching trees. Pff,
Punch fish instead.
there you go. I wanted to ask though, so how deep can you how low can you go?
So, because I've gotten to the point where like I need very specific materials that I have no idea where to get further. I have actually started going to the wiki to look things up, and I saw that you can go to 1,500 meters is the deepest you can go.
Okay. So you said you're at 900 right now?
I'm at 900, so I'm close.
You're like a little over halfway. I mean, I don't know. if you're
Yeah, I'm
close.
about halfway. So there's a couple more things I can do to help myself get deeper. But pretty much the only reason I've stopped at 900 is like my main.
How are you gonna help
submersible.
yourself get deeper, Cole? Tell me, please. I need to know.
Lube up and
Well, I mean, I can get better oxygen tanks. I can get
Mhm.
better submersibles.
Breathing is important. Yep, the toys
you
are
need
important. Yep.
protection too.
I could get better punching robots for underwater.
Okay, I don't know how to turn that into a pun, but I got it.
We'll get
yeah.
back to you with a joke in a few minutes. Someone will come up with something.
When we switch topics, you guys can make fun of me for something. That's fine.
We'll table that conversation.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Does Subnautica have a story, or is it like open-ended Minecrafty game?
It does actually have a story. So,
Kill all fish.
kill all fish. It
Okay.
does have some missions along the way. Like, some of them, because you are on a larger ship, is to try to find survivors. So you do have a radio, and you get transmissions every so often of where the different life pods landed, so you can go explore those. And then you actually find out that there's a whole reason why your ship came to the island is because you were actually searching for this super wealthy family that was the head of your mining company that you were a part of.
Spoilers.
Not really.
I can't even enjoy the game now.
It's explained pretty early on of why you're there. So.
Would you
All right.
recommend it?
What?
Would you recommend it?
I would. I actually really enjoy it. Like, there is some crafting pieces that took me a while to get, but I actually been having a lot of fun doing the crafting pieces and then just the exploration. But me personally, I'm always a person who loves to explore different like maps, and then having like this small kind of missions that I have to complete along the way kind of helps me keep going. Especially when I get more upgrades, I get really excited because I'm like, oh, I just unlocked a new upgrade. I want to try to build this and see what I can do with it now. So I do recommend it. I've had a really good time with it.
It's considered one of the better VR games, so, I mean, basically I wanted to play it in VR, but I had heard it's like a really great game, so I can back Cole up on this, even though I haven't played it at all.
Yeah, and as I said last time I talked about this game, I really want to try it in VR. I know I talked, like, there is some, like, parts that will make you jump a bit, but now that I've played it enough, I've gotten used to
shitting my pants.
Yeah, I've gotten really used to shitting my pants at this point. I've just been wearing adult diapers the whole time I play, so at this point, like, I really want to try it in VR.
All right.
We play games very differently.
We do.
Yeah.
And
You know what my favorite thing to do in Minecraft was?
but
Farm.
Just build a deep hole. Like, I just start, and then I build a square, like a 4x4 hole to the ground, and then I go back to the top, and then I build a 10x10 hole, and then a 20x20, and then go on from there. People have called me psychopaths when they see my gigantic hole. But, you know, what are you going to do? I like it.
What are you going to do?
I can agree with that. I've done some giant holes in Minecraft before, and it's been very enjoyable. I've also created just pyramids that are just 20 by 20 pyramids. Because I'm like, I'm not creative enough to make anything else. I'm just going to make a pyramid. It's easy.
I find it very calming.
Yeah. No, I totally get you.
Sometimes you run into diamond, and you know, don't do anything with it, because I don't know how to build anything, but I use it to dig my hole bigger and faster, more productive digging.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
some nice diamond. All right, time to move on. All right, so, I mean, we could move on to movies here. Unless, did you have anything else to say, Cole?
Try Subnautica. It's
Out of
fun.
10, right now, what would you give it?
Out of 10?
Or 7 or 5 or whatever you want to make the top, but typically it's 10, yeah.
10's a good
Out of
price.
12 and a half.
So I've actually had a really good time playing it. I would say 8.
All right,
Solid, very good game.
solid 8 out of 10. Okay, I want to talk about The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. Has anyone seen this show?
I
I
have.
thought you wanted to talk about movies.
Well,
Visible media. I don't know what to call it. TV shows and movies. All right, Sam, I was somewhat disappointed with The Mandalorian. I'm curious what you thought about it.
Hold on, you're disappointed with it? Before Sam says anything, I haven't watched anything, but I've heard nothing but amazing things. Also, all of the Baby Yoda memes I've seen online. How have you not enjoyed it?
Do you want me to respond, or do you want Sam to say what he thought first? Pick and choose.
This is tough decisions in life. No, I want to hear what your thoughts are before Sam goes.
All right, so I wrote just like a couple, like 2 sentences here, but I thought that everything about it is generally okay. Like, it doesn't look bad, it doesn't sound bad, the characters are interesting enough, but there's just zero plot to it. I've seen the 6 episodes that have come out, and they just can be watched separately. It's like The Office, where you can just pick up and watch any random episode, but it feels like there's a story. The first 2 or 3 episodes really push this idea of like an overarching plot, and then the later 3 episodes are completely what would you call it, where they're not connected, like
Self-contained.
Yeah, and I don't really like that because they set up this whole thing about how there is going to be a larger plot and there is more in the mix, and now it just feels like they're just fucking off for a while, like nothing's happening. And they're only 20 minutes long too, like they're only half an hour long, so they have to introduce the characters every time to like, welcome to this new planet. They have to take the time to explain the problem and the story. They have to solve the problem, and then basically they just, once again, they fuck off at the end of every episode. They spent only one episode on Tatooine, which I would consider is the most well-known planet in all of Star Wars, where Luke Skywalker grew up. And then, like, I was like, oh, they're going to stay here for a couple episodes. And then, no, they showed up, and then they did a thing, and then they fucked off afterwards. They went to a new planet. Like, I don't like that the show is, that each episode is treated as an individual episode. And, yeah, self-contained, as Sam said. Does that answer your question, Cole?
That does. I'm very interested to hear Sam's thoughts now.
Me too.
So one thing that I am a bit concerned about is that there is only one more episode in the season, and it's already out. Like, it came out today. I haven't watched it yet, but the last episode of the season is already out.
Oh shit! Okay.
But my thoughts are, it seems like there's a lot happening, and then there's also nothing happening. And I have the same thoughts that Ben has. Every episode they're solving one problem, and each one wraps itself up nicely. So, and each episode is a new problem. So the story from point A to point wherever we're going to end up with, like, Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian or whatever, I don't have any idea what's going on with that. Each episode presents a new problem, and then by the end of the episode they solve it. So yeah, it feels more like an episode of The Office than like an episode of, I don't know, The Wire or something, where something happens over the entire season.
Yeah, and maybe they're going to mix it up eventually, but my biggest problem is that it takes... I mean, they're short episodes. They're not like an hour-long Game of Thrones episodes. They're 25 minutes or so, and they have to take 5 minutes of that beginning and like they have to introduce all the new characters. They have to explain, like, oh, we're on this planet seeking shelter or whatever, like every single time. And it just... when I'm watching it, I'm just kind of like on my phone for the first half of the episode until anything of importance actually happens, because they just end up repeating the same dialogue for the first few minutes. Oh, my name is blah, 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 blah. I'm a Mandalorian. I'm taking care of my dog, and then it just goes from there.
All right.
Yeah, each episode introduces like 10 more characters that you probably will never see again. So what's the point in a TV show to do that?
Yeah. So I was going to say, out of 10, I gave it a 4 out of 10, where it has all the right elements. It looks good. It sounds good. The animation, I mean, the monsters, they look like you would see in the theaters. It doesn't... It honestly... They probably spent a ton of money on every episode. The acting is fine. The characters are interesting. But it just doesn't go anywhere. So if it had an interesting enough plotline, I'd give it a 5. I'd give it above a 5. But because I just don't care about where any of it's going, I have to give it subpar at 4 out of 10.
I'm going to wait and watch the last episode before I try to give it any overall review. I'm going to see if they pull it together. I don't know. I mean, there's been so much happening and also nothing happening that I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it together into like an interesting first season. But I would say it looks really good. I mean, I have kept watching it because I am interested to see where it goes and what's happening. Like, I'm interested in the main couple of characters, so that's keeping me watching. But the last couple of episodes have been a little disappointing.
Yeah, from what I am expecting in this last episode is that they're going to push something towards the main overall plot. And that'll be fine, because how else would they end a season? But as you had mentioned very articulately, is that they introduce and then just fuck off with a bunch of different characters every episode. And that's not something that I can see them saving in just one episode season finale. They can make steps towards making the entire plot move forward, but they can't take any steps towards these subplot characters that are on different planets now that they visited, a week or two ago. Like, there's no way that they're ever going to become relevant again unless they individually go back to those planets and see them or something.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I know that everyone's been loving it. I mean, I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes. It's got 90+% for both critics and reviewers, but I've just been, and I didn't even have super high expectations of it. Star Wars has been in general kind of disappointing lately, and so I went into it with not even, these high hopes, and they still were a bit more disappointing than I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the reason that I'm watching it, Sam, I've got to give hats off to you here, is because last podcast you mentioned that you get Disney Plus for free if you have Verizon Unlimited, like a data plan. So I was going to just say thank you, because otherwise I would have not have known about that. So that's why I've been watching it, is because of you.
Yeah, you get a year free.
Yeah.
I thought it was because he gave you his password.
The password is I love Splash Mountain.
Do you think I pay for my own phone bill?
Screw that.
I have my mom's Disney Plus password. Are you kidding me?
I'm on the family plan,
I
bitch.
mean, if you wanted to share that password someday.
Oh, I sure don't.
Okay. I'm just saying, it's Christmas, it's the giving season.
Yep. Give me
Anything it would
something
be
first.
sharing.
This has been years and years of me giving you shit, Cole. It's time to return.
How much is a Disney Plus subscription? Yeah, it's $1 less if you want to buy. If you want to go through me, give you that discount. So that's Mandalorian. I'm a little disappointed about it. I didn't realize that the next episode is the season finale. So that being said, knowing that there's something gonna be here, I'll probably watch it. But I was fully just like done with it up until 5 minutes ago when I heard about that. I wasn't gonna keep watching it, but I'll give the last episode a shot. The other thing that I watched, have either of you heard of this show called Doom Patrol?
Yes, I have.
No,
Okay, Sam, did you hear anything?
I've never heard of this. No.
Okay, so what was that
Brendan
called?
Fraser on DC.
It is Brendan Fraser.
Hell yeah. Love that
So-
guy.
So, Sam, do you know who Brendan Fraser is? He was
He's
that
in
show?
Scrubs for that one episode.
Yeah, he was in Scrubs for that one episode. He was the Mummy, the main guy from the Mummy. The
yeah.
good ones.
Yeah, before it became Tom Cruise and went down the shitter.
Scorpion King. Before it came CGI Man.
Yeah.
Featuring a computer image. Featuring a stock photo. So Brendan Fraser is the main character, but it's funny because the show is a DC superhero show. It's basically like the Suicide Squad. I'm not going to say it's a good version of the Suicide Squad, but I'm going to say that the characters are even shittier than in the Suicide Squad, and it's actually not that bad. I only watched the first episode, but basically, like, they all know that they suck, and they've got these tragic backstories, and the show is a little bit self-aware of it. They do kind of like a fourth wall breaking narration thing where the guy's like, yeah, you all know the fucking story. They're superheroes, and they gotta save the world. Like, the fact that they kind of recognize that the story's been told a million times is kind of a great part about it. But I had just heard about it, and I found it on a website, and the first episode is not bad. Brendan Fraser, as I mentioned, is the main character, but the best part about Brendan Fraser in this is that he plays Robot Man, which is just a guy who was in an accident, and then they put his brain inside of a, like, fucking Wizard of Oz Tin Man style robot. And so Brendan Fraser is technically in it, but it's really just his voice. They got the biggest star that they could get on payroll, and they don't even use him as an actor. He's just a voice actor.
I know they do flashbacks every so often, so you get to see what he looks like.
Yeah.
And Brendan Fraser's getting a little old, and he hasn't really been in the spotlight for a while. So he isn't looking in shape anymore, so.
If that's the biggest star you can get, your budget must be very low.
I would also not say that he is the biggest star on that cast. Because I know they have... I know one of the girls is from...
He's great in Scrubs, though.
He is great. He loves that picture. He loves that
He takes
photography.
pictures.
Photo guy.
Yeah, one of the girls is from Orange Is the New Black. I can't remember what.
Are,
like, the
are you
main
going to
professor
tell
is.
me that Orange Is the New Black is a bigger deal than the original Mummy movies? Because The Rock would like to have a talk with you.
Nowadays, with Brendan Fraser literally doing nothing until this, like, if you see the flashbacks, you'll see
That's a slap on the man's work.
I love the man. Okay, don't get me wrong, I love him.
I'm
but it's
looking
been
it
a
up.
while.
What has he done recently?
Brendan Fraser from Scrubs popularity.
That's what
Not
I know
even-
him from. Okay.
Not even a main character. So Brendan Fraser is like an extra 50 pounds larger in this show than you would expect him to be. And I like to tell myself that it's because the character that he gained on the weight, but the more I think about it, the more I think maybe it's just natural causes.
Yeah, that is natural there, bud.
I'm sure they were on the
Listen.
phone. What?
Have you never watched The Nut Job, the absolute classic movie made in 2014 with Brandon Fraser in it?
Brendan Fraser of Nutjob fame.
Jesus.
Monkey Bone? Was that a movie he was in? What's that one called?
Yeah, Monkey Bone. That's super old though.
Yeah, but he was also in. There was one called like Bedazzled or something that was like the best movie that Brendan Fraser was in.
He hasn't done much recently. 2013. Okay, he's got a couple movies coming up in 2019. He's making the comeback.
All right,
He's
let me
doing
check.
a comeback because like he has Inkheart from 08.
Yeah,
G.I.
Bedazzled
Joe.
in 2000. That was the best one. I love Bedazzled.
George of the Jungle, 97. Great
Oh,
movie.
George of the Jungle is great.
Of
Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Brendan Fraser of George of the Jungle fame. I'm sure. As I was saying this before, but I'm sure they were on the phone with him. They were like, "Okay, we got a main character. It's Brendan Fraser," and they're like, "All right, we can live with that." And then he shows up and he's an extra 50 pounds, and they're like, "Okay."
And,
Are-
and this is
are
gonna
we
be
sure?
CGI for the rest of the series.
All right, Brendan Fraser. What we're gonna do is we're going to replace you with a robot. I'm sure he wasn't even specifically supposed to be a robot man until they saw him and they were like, "Ugh, God."
Oh no.
Like, can you kick or punch or get out of the lazy boy that you're currently in?
Brandon Fraser of Sinbad, Beyond the Veil.
Oh shit!
Fame.
So much fame. So the show, this is only based off the first episode. It's good, but I think that it's not that good. I would probably rate it first impressions like a 6 out of 10, simply because it is a bit more self-aware, and I hope that they do something a little different. But they're definitely just like, they know that this is another one of dozens of superhero stories that, you know, everyone is funding right now. So it's nice that they're self-aware, but we'll see what happens. All right, Sam, movies, TV shows, what'd you see?
The only thing I've watched this week new is The Irishman on Netflix. Irishman.
Ooh,
I heard that was awesome.
yeah, same.
Yeah, you know, Martin Scorsese, or however the hell you say his name. 3.5 hours long. A lot of story. A lot of talky talk.
Sam's favorite, as everyone knows.
It was good. I don't think I liked it as much as everyone else. And I think it was probably between an hour and 45 minutes too long. Like the last bit of the movie is super boring. Nothing happens. But yeah, it's a good mobster movie if you have 3.5 hours to waste.
And you don't feel like watching Lord of the Rings again.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Yeah, that's on Netflix, you said, right?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
All right.
I actually have a coworker who's from, because that's based out
Ireland.
of Philly, right?
Yeah, it's Philly.
Yeah. So I have a coworker who's from Philly, and he says that the main restaurant that they're at is actually still up and or like running restaurant that you can go to now.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I thought that was like really cool. I was like, yeah, it's still owned by the Mop, by the way. I was like, oh, I guess it's still a thing. Huh.
Huh.
There's a scene in the movie where they go and get hot dogs, and then the YouTuber Binging with Babish
Oh, yeah.
did a special on the hot dogs from the movie, and that was probably more enjoyable than the movie. But I do love me some Binging with Babish, so I watched the movie so I would understand the Binging with Babish episode.
You gotta understand them hot dogs, man. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
What
They
is
look
the
like good hot
origin of hot dog? And then you watch the movie because of it. Well, the Irishmen used to eat them in lieu of potatoes. Is that racist?
Yes, definitely.
It's only when you
100%.
start talking about the Irish potato famine. Okay.
Well, you just brought it up. So you're racist.
Oh no.
Oh, crap.
Our one listener, who's also one of our hosts, is not going to listen to this now.
Dang.
I'm not Irish.
Are you sure?
Yes.
How many potatoes do you eat on average per day? Raw.
On average,
Raw
0 potatoes per day.
You gotta up your numbers. Those are amateur numbers. All right, moving on. Anything else that you've seen?
That was the only thing I've watched this week.
All right.
Of note. I mean, I watched some Sunny episodes. I basically just watch and play the same video games over and over, like watch the same TV shows and play the same video game.
Sam, I hope that you become a regular because it would be great to like just hear about how was your week. Oh, I played League and Counter-Strike. Oh, how was that? It was good. And then like you can just go into like the same fucking shit that you say every single week. You have like a 15-minute script that you just read through,
Every
and I
week.
just pretend to like be interested.
I need to diversify, I suppose. I might be in a rut, but it's comfortable there, you know? I'm comfortable down here in my hole that I made for myself.
Sam, never change. You're perfect the way you are.
Eat my bad words, Cole.
You can swear like
Eat my asshole, Cole.
Okay.
No one listens to this. It's fine.
I do.
Fuck it.
As long as it wasn't like a racial slur, eat my, whatever. But you can say generally whatever you want here. I can't imagine that there would be much that I would bleep on this podcast. Don't test me on that.
Oh. From here on, we're going to test to see how far we can go until we start getting edited out.
Yeah, I'll have to bleep out like Irish of every Irishman. So I was watching the Beepish Man. Just go from there. It's a really good show. Cole, movies, TV shows.
So I still don't got really any movies, but it's time for... I actually don't have any anime this week, so I was going to say it was going to be my
Thank
anime
God.
It's
Dodged
anime
a
hour
bullet.
time.
It's
I was,
anime.
Does it have to be an hour?
Every week it's an hour
Have
of
you
anime.
watched have you watched more of a Psycho Going 100 Man show?
Psycho Stone. Dr.
I-
Stone.
Haven't. I've watched more Dr. Stone, yes. They're trying to make cell phones in
Nice.
the caveman world, which is actually kind of fascinating.
Have they invented the wheel yet? Like, one thing comes
Yes.
after the other.
They had their Christmas episode, so he made light bulbs and he made a Christmas tree. So that was cool.
All right.
That wasn't what I was going to talk about, but I guess you guys
I was
want me to talk about
I was
anime.
generally interested. I don't hate anime.
Good.
It's just fun to rip on you because of it.
I hate
Yeah.
you. No, I guess Dr. Stone at this point, like as I said, they're trying to build cell phones, so it's kind of fascinating on like what actual components go into a cell phone.
Electronics.
Instagram.
Computer chips.
Well, think about that in a stone world though. Like
Stone computer chips.
Wood.
how do you get to that point? So they actually like go through like the different things you need to like make a light bulb and like how light bulbs work and like in this crazy anime world, which is super fascinating.
You need a lamp.
as they're telling it.
Have you ever watched the TV show How It's Made?
It's like that, but animated.
Nice.
See,
Yeah.
that's why they need to make a cell phone so that they can watch episodes of How It's Made.
Exactly. That's what they're going for.
We need to make a cell phone so we can watch a video on how to make a cell phone.
That's very meta.
Yes.
So, but the things I was going to talk about was some stuff on Netflix that I've been watching recently, which has been The Movies That Made Us and the other series, The Toys That Made Us. They're actually two series that kind of branched off from each other, with The Toys That Made Us that came out first. That one kind of goes over some of the really popular toy brands and like toy series that you see out there. So it goes over like G.I. Joe, Barbies, and stuff like that. And their latest season went over Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers,
Sweet.
which are two things that like I grew up on. That was really exciting to like see and kind of understand like how these came to be so big. And especially for like the Power Rangers, I never realized how much of an impact Power Rangers actually had. But because of Power Rangers, that's why the network station, or the whole network, like Fox Kids and everything, came about, was to promote Power Rangers. Before that, like all the networks, can't say words tonight, were actually separate groups that like local areas owned their own Fox network, so they could borrow programming from each other, but they never actually collaborated together to show things. So the things that they would show in Montana would be completely different from what they would show say in Colorado. Like the Fox TV networks were completely different from each other. The only thing that was like similar is they could pick and choose some of the same programming and show them, but like the time blocks were always different. So with Power Rangers, because it was becoming such a popular thing, the actual network, it's the overarching Fox network, got all of the small subsidiary networks to band together to make, or to actually bring them together. And that's how like today we have Fox Kids, and kind of Fox showing actual like cartoons and all those fun kid shows that you and I kind of grew up on, was because of Power Rangers, which is really cool to kind of like learn about.
In my head,
I never had any idea about that.
I'm seeing this image in my head where we've got like the 5 Power Rangers: red, green, black, blue, pink, and then we have like the 5 Fox executives of like Fox Normal, Fox News, Fox Kids, and then they all come together and they're like, we've got this idea. Let's create a Fox Megazord similar to the Power Rangers show. So like you're talking about how they got the idea from Power Rangers, and then I just think of all these executives like, I'm the legs, I'm the arm. And now we have Megazord Fox as the popular Megazord that we know and love today.
It's kind of what happened, and like that whole concept that this thing that actually originated in Japan became super popular. So yeah, it's something I would definitely suggest watching, just because I don't know about you guys, but Power Rangers was something like I grew up on. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was another thing like I grew up on.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
kind of seeing how these things were created is really cool, especially because I didn't realize how much toys have, or the effect toys have on actual television. It's actually a lot of times toys come before the TV show happens.
That's what I heard about He-Man, yeah.
Yeah, the toy came first, and then the TV show came afterwards to promote the toys, which, in my mind,
Wasn't it the same
insane.
thing for like? It was the same thing for like Yu-Gi-Oh and Beyblades and maybe even Pokemon. Like all those shows where it was just to promote the cards and the Beyblades and letting them rip and all that.
Exactly. That's actually how a lot of those like kid shows are created, is based off of the actual toys themselves. So it's really cool to go into the backstory of it and have the actual like creators talk about how they got to that point.
So you're telling me that The Office was created to promote people working in paper?
It's to promote paper. Nowadays, people need to buy more paper because of The Office.
I kept wondering why my paper sales were increasing ever since watching that show. I just love going to Staples and buying cartons of paper now.
Exactly, man. You can get that Dunder Mifflin.
Mm-hmm.
So is it 30-minute episodes, 40, 50-minute episodes? What is it?
I believe they're just under an hour long.
Wow, that's really long.
So, each season only has a few episodes in them.
There's 3 episodes per season. My sister was telling me about this, and I told myself I really wanted to check it out. But yeah,
they're 40-minute long episodes.
Okay. I'll try to... It sounds really interesting. I'll try to watch one before the next podcast if I'm on the next podcast or whatever.
Yeah,
hey, you're welcome.
If either of you or either of us are actually still here and stuff on the next one, we can definitely talk about it.
You know,
I'm gonna replace you guys with
we're
like
both gonna be
just
replaced.
something else.
Yeah.
Replace us with a soundboard of Mike. Just go through the old podcast and you get the general noises, and he'll say things, and then you just go into the 30-minute rant about movie theaters.
That's what I was gonna say. Is I would have a keyboard of buttons to press, and then there would be one for movie theaters where he like, if I need to go to the bathroom, I'll hit that, and then he'll talk for like 15 minutes.
Oh god.
It would be funny. I hope that Mike listens to this because he's like, great, 3 of my friends are talking shit about me on the podcast now.
It's fine. He doesn't listen to it.
Yeah,
nobody does.
Nobody does. So I was gonna say though, my comment about the toys that made us is my sister was telling me that there's episodes about like there's Barbie and then something else, and I thought that would be a really interesting thing to watch because as much as I was into like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers, not that I know every single detail about them, but growing up I know a lot about that history. But Barbie, I mean, Barbie is probably one of the most longest running successful brands out there, and I've never had any interest in any Barbie or anything. So like that would be really intriguing to me because she, among all other toys, I mean, when's the last time I've heard of anyone buying a G.I. Joe or like even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Even if they have an animated show right now, they've definitely lost popularity. In comparison, Barbie has had like dozens of video games. She's had like 2D shows. She's had movies. She's had like 3D animation shows. Like an insane library. I would really, out of all the categories that she had mentioned when she was describing it, I think that Barbie would be one of the most interesting because they just have a complete monopoly on the girls market, and it's been like 30 or 40 years long.
Yeah, I mean, there's Barbie, there's one completely just on Legos, Transformers, Star Trek, Star Wars. So if you are super into the Barbie stuff, there's also My Little Pony.
How is that related to Barbie?
They're both girl things, but it makes sense because My Little Pony basically went through a reimagining or a what do you call it, an image rebranding, where they were like realistic horses back in the day, and now they're like cartoon stuff. I don't know how to describe what it is right now, but it's completely different.
Yeah, they went from like more realistic to more cartoonish. I did watch the My Little Pony one. It was actually kind of cool, like how they got to that point and like the whole inner workings of the company, like why they made those decisions, because a lot of it actually makes zero sense why they would ever do it.
It's genius. I mean, whatever they did, there's no denying that My Little Pony is one of the most successful rebrands in toys ever. I mean, there's dudes that are like 30 and 40. There's dudes that are Cole's age that like My Little Pony.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know about My Little Pony, is that Cole's really into it.
Hey man, he came out with a really cool card game. And after that, I had to go full Brody, okay?
There you go. All right, we're over. We're reaching at just about an hour here, and all 3 of us have movies of top 5 best games of 2019. I'm a little worried about time here. Did anyone else watch anything else?
I'm about to say, I was going to just touch a little bit. So there's the toys that made us, and then there's also the movies that made us, which is the same concept of like how these were created and everything. And the movies that made us, I really like that one quite a bit because that one actually goes. It has one season right now, and it goes over Dirty Dancing, Home Alone, Ghostbusters, and Die Hard. Oh,
Okay. So it's individual movies per episode, the same way that it's individual toys per episode, right?
exactly. So it's the same kind of concept, and they pick like kind of like the biggest movies and
Series.
stuff that you've like heard of before. So
Okay.
there's a lot of things, especially in like those movies, that I've always really liked all four of those movies. So it's kind of really cool to like hear the background of like how all of that was actually created and how it came to fruition.
How can they make a Die Hard one when there's a Die Hard coming out next year? I mean,
So
that seems weird.
It goes over just the original Die Hard, like how did the original concept come to be.
Okay.
It doesn't go over the entire like Die Hard series. It just goes over the first one, which I
Okay,
actually
that makes
appreciate.
sense.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, Home Alone especially, the first two movies were good, and then I shit you not, there's like 7 Home Alone movies. I mean, basically 80%, if they went over every movie, 80% of that show would be just like talking about the terrible downfall of Home Alone and Macaulay Culkin and well, actually he was only in the first 2, about all the
Yeah.
people that failed to live up to his to Macaulay Culkin standard.
Like yeah, and that's the thing, like because a lot of those series that that they go over have multiple movies. They only talk about the very first one, the one that actually got them off the ground, which is kind of cool to see.
Sure.
So yeah. Outside of that, the other thing I was going to talk about was another Netflix original show, which is called Magic for Humans.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are super into this at all, but it's kind of a fun. It's a magician who goes over different things that he talks about. So each episode, he kind of has like a main overarching theme. So his very first episode is called Self Control, and it's the whole idea of like we don't have control over our lives, like, or do we? And then he kind of does like fun little magic tricks while doing it. And one of the things is like the self-control of a child. Can a child sit in a room without eating a marshmallow for 10 minutes? And it's really funny because he gives all the kids one marshmallow. If they don't eat the marshmallow after 10 minutes, they get a second marshmallow. So he also gives them a cup. It's like if you can't look at the marshmallow for 10 minutes, here, you can put a cup over the marshmallow so you don't have to look at it. So of course, like the magic trick is like the marshmallow like disappears, and it's just kind of like really funny how he like plays with the magic of making the marshmallow like disappear and then reappear for the kids. And because every episode he kind of plays like some comedy into all of his tricks, so it's kind of a bit of a comedy while doing different magic tricks.
All right. Does it tell you how to lure children into your room with just marshmallows?
Does not, but it does show how you can convince a person that they're invisible.
All
The
right.
Even though they're
the
not
marshmallow test was a 1972 experiment from Stanford about delayed gratification.
Yep.
It's a psychology test.
Yep.
What
So he
does that have to do with magic?
You just got to watch it. 'Cause
When he
it's
makes it
really fun.
disappear.
So
Are they going to do the Stanford prison experiment next with kids?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, they are.
We imprisoned kids for 10 years and we gave them a marshmallow to see if they would eat it.
Are they going to do Freud's dog test where they ring the bell and get fed? Like,
Isn't
look
that
how is that
Pavlov?
magic?
It's
Yeah,
not
Pavlov.
Freud.
Whatever. You love your mom. Everybody loves their mom. Everybody wants to bang their mom.
Wait, no. Now you're talking about Oedipus.
No, that's Sigmund Freud.
Oh,
That's
wait.
Freud.
All
It
right.
comes from it's the Oedipus complex, but
Yeah.
Psychology talk.
Dude, we're getting into college shit. Gotta dumb this
yeah.
conversation down a bit. Marshmallows.
Magic
Video
for
games.
Humans is just a
Toy
very
Stories.
nice, like low key kind of like magic and humor at the same time.
All
Let
right.
me know. Let me know what episode they do the Stanford prison experiment in with kids, and I'll watch that one.
I'll let you know on that one.
All right, thanks.
All right. So realistically, Sam, not to go on a tangent too much, the prison test is the one where they had certain people play as prisoners and certain people play as guards, right? To see if there was a power complex with the
Yes.
guards. Yeah, that would be great.
Oof.
And it like messed a bunch of people up, and a bunch of people got like sued the school and left, and yeah, it was super messed up.
Anyone who doesn't beat a child gets a marshmallow.
Let's combine all the tests together.
Exactly. The marshmallow prison experiment. Waterboarding. Okay. All right. That sounds good. What was the name of that show once more?
Magic for Humans.
All right. All right. Is that everything from everyone? Movies, TV shows, games?
That's what I got. Let's
Top
just
5.
go right into it.
All right, everyone. This is actually a pretty big top 5. I'm happy that we have 3 people doing this one because we're doing the top 5 best games of 2019. And I hope that you guys spent a good amount of time thinking this over because...
Yep, 5 minutes before we started this.
Fuck you. I spent a bit of time. Like, I am pretty excited about this list. I don't know.
I mean, it's
it was a
better
big
than
deal to me.
Most times where I do it as we start talking. Because I'm like, I got a whole hour to figure this out while he's talking.
What do you mean most times? You've been on this show
This is
once.
the second one.
I've been here twice.
A majority of the time, 1 out of 1. Well, this is officially the second time. You could
No,
call it
this
one
is
and
the
a half.
third time. I was
What?
here for episode 37 and 38.
Oh shit, that's right.
Oh.
Dang, getting into those big boy numbers.
Number 3.
Number trace.
That
All
makes
right,
me more senior
top
than
5.
Sam right now.
So, top 5. As we've done before, I'll say, well, if anyone else wants to start, number 5, number 4, number 3. Then we go around number 5, number 4, number 3, number 5, number 4, number 3, number 2, 2, 2, number 1, 1, 1. All right. I don't want to have the same. Should we stick with the same rotation? Me, Sam, Cole. I feel like Cole is gonna feel like a.
You
I
know,
don't know.
as
Cole,
the
do you wanna go
second
first?
most
Let's
senior
go
person
Cole-
here,
Cole,
I'm
Sam,
feeling very gypped.
Cole,
Yeah.
why don't you start?
Cole, go first.
We'll go reverse order. Sam, you can still maintain number 2.
Hey,
Hey, number 2.
hey, number 2.
All right, go Cole. What's your
All
number
right.
5, your number 4, and your number 3?
My number 5, and I feel like I'm gonna get yelled at a little bit by Sam on
Fuck
this
you.
one. No, I didn't say you. I said Sam.
I can't yell at you now.
No, you're not allowed to talk about this. But my number 5 actually is a game mode for a game that has been out for a while, but the game mode is so different and it's completely its own
All right,
game itself.
I'm gonna cut you off right now, and we can talk about this when I talk about this.
So my number 5 is Teamfight Tactics.
Teamfight Tactics. Yeah, we can talk about this when I talk about it because it's farther along on my list than number 5.
I
Okay.
put it number 5, but yeah, we can go deeper into why you liked it more.
So, to explain to the audience really quickly, to let me explain to no one. What we decided was, in the past we've done where like if we had the same number, I would talk about it, and then the other person would talk about it, and it was just kind of like a repeater basically. I talk about how much I love the game, they talk about how much they love the game. We decided if anyone's got the same game on their list, we're gonna table it until whoever is the last, whatever it shows up on the lowest number, then everyone will talk about how good the game is, why it deserves that spot. So that's what we're gonna do. So it sounds like Cole's number 5 was
Teamfight Tactics
Teamfight Tactics.
from League of Legends.
Mm-hmm. So with that being said, sounds like we're gonna hold off on that. Cole, what is your number 4?
All right. As I said, Sam was going to yell at me for that last one, so I kind of knew that was going to happen. Number 4 is actually going to be Monster Hunter World for me.
Okay, because you put like 80 hours into this game.
I've put a lot of hours into that game. And actually, surprisingly enough, outside of League, of course, it isn't the game I put the most hours in outside of League on my list. So, yeah, I put a lot of hours into this game. the whole premise is you're kind of in like a Jurassic period, and you can use giant ass weapons to kill giant ass monsters. And
That's a good description. That kind of makes me want to play.
that's what you get to do. You just get to beat the shit out of giant ass monsters. And I've had one hell of a time playing that. As I've kind of talked about before, the game does get repetitive, but it is really fun going on hunts with your friends to track down the different monsters, to kind of just wail on them, beat the shit out of these giant monsters with your weapons ranging from like a giant greatsword that could have rockets attached to it to a giant I think it's called the battle horn, which is just like a bagpipe that gives people boosts or little power-ups, but you can also just like wail on creatures with it at the same time.
I was gonna say I played Monster Hunter Tri for the Wii U, and I streamed it on Twitch at the time. It was one of the only games I ever streamed. I only played for a couple hours, but I played the Bagpiper, and it was great. On my stream, I only had a couple people watching me, but whenever I pulled it out, I always told them that I was going to shred some crunchy tunes. And so that's how I killed enemies, was by shredding crunchy tunes.
Gotta use some crunchy tunes. Yeah, I've really had a lot of fun playing this game, and actually recently a new expansion came out for it called The Frozen World, which I've seen a lot of gameplay on right now, and it is something that I'm looking to pick up going into the new year.
Yep, same.
Especially because I have some friends that are also going to pick it up, so I have my hunting party. We're all going to pick it up and go hunting again to start off the new year. So I'm really excited for that, and is kind of why it made my top 5. Just because beating the shit out of giant monsters and being able to do it with friends was a really good time.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, this game looks awesome to me. I have been telling myself that I want to buy it, but I've been holding off specifically because I know this DLC adds like 40 additional hours. It's an insane amount of content, and I know that they're going to be bundling it together with the game. So just knowing that, I have been patiently waiting because I specifically want to play it on PC. It's already out and available on console, but it just seems like it's been months ago that they first announced it, and I'm still patiently waiting here to play it, but this game sounds awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah, and I'm really excited too, because I have picked it up a little bit for the holiday season, because they've been doing in-game events to kind of get ready for the holiday season, and also for the new like Frozen World. So you have kind of different like little holiday themed hunts that you can go on. Which makes it really fun that they do have DLC coming up for it, but they also have specific events going on for the holiday season, which is really cool to see that they put so much effort into the game and kind of try to change it up just a little bit, even though it's not like a ton.
Mm-hmm. So explain to me, there's a cat in the game that follows you, right? I've seen a bunch of like memes about this, but you have like a cat that you can dress up as a ladybug and it like follows you.
Yeah, so like in this monster world, there's a whole like race of cats that kind of work side by side with the humans. So kind of like the main thing is you get a cat companion to go along and fight alongside you. The cat can wield different armor and different weapons to help fight when you're playing solo. And then also the cat can provide backup and support, and has different support abilities. Sadly, when you have a group bigger than 2, your cat goes away, just because that's too many characters kind of distracting the monster at one time. But the cat just kind of acts as an AI companion that helps you out along the way. But you also can find cats out in the wild, which is kind of cool. So there's like wild tribes of cats. And the different tribes will do different things for you. Like some of them will act as decoys for monsters. Other ones, if you get really close to them while riding the giant monster that you're trying to beat the shit out of, they'll actually help you capture it.
Okay.
So they kind of just like act as like another, like as a friendly ally on the map while you're playing.
All right. Yeah, I was just curious about it. I've seen a lot of jokes about it, and I was like, okay, there's a cat that you can put pants on, and he'll follow you around. So,
Dude, the
all
cat
right.
is. I love the cat.
I know absolutely nothing about this game, and so I have nothing to add. So I'm just, sitting here quietly.
They have cats.
There's cats.
Hell yeah.
Dude, the cats can like beat the shit out of things. It's great.
Yeah, most cats can.
Yeah,
I mean,
So-
sort of.
sort of.
They can definitely knock the heck out of a glass off the counter. That's for sure.
So yeah, my number 4 is Monster Hunter World. My number 3, I know this is probably gonna be on both of your guys' list, but my number 3 is Slay the Spire.
Yep, on my list.
Yep. So I don't know where
This is on
it
my
is,
list as well.
but I'll give just a quick overview of what this game is, and then we
We
can
can talk about it. I don't know. Is it lower on yours, Ben?
It's lower.
Did I
So
hit
is
it?
It's 1 or 2?
No, it's lower as like 4 or 5.
It's in my. It's
Bottom
lower.
half?
It's in
Top
it's
half?
bottom half.
It's bottom
Okay,
half.
so this is also my number 3 game, so we can just talk about it right now.
Perfect.
Oh wait, no, I mean
Screw
high.
Ben.
It's in my high.
Screw Ben. We're gonna talk about it right now.
All right, let's cut all of that last little bit. we will talk about this game later.
No, it's fine. I will whatever. Okay,
This is
so
great. We're gonna give Ben so much like editing that he has to do on this podcast. Just
It can't be near as much as there was last week.
I mean, there was a lot of dead air, so I really want to know how much like unedited or actually edited out dead
let's
air. there was.
let's
was a
not
lot of name
critique the
dropping,
episode
you know.
mid-episode. I'm leaving all of this in. I'm only cutting out a single part so far. So, with that said, let's move forward. Sam, what's your number 5?
No, we still have to talk about Slays. No, we don't.
No.
Okay.
All
my
right, I'll
number
give
5.
a quick. Oh, okay. Good.
No, we'll just talk about it.
All right.
My number 5 is Golf Story.
Okay.
So this is a little golf RPG on the Nintendo Switch. I bought it on sale this year. I think it was like $10. It's actually a really fun and skill-based golf game, which is not something I expected. So first of all, this is an RPG. It's 16-bit graphics, and you golf. That's what you do. It's you golf against people. You get experience points to level up your golfing abilities, and you get money to buy better golf clubs. It's,
So I played this 2 years ago, by the way, so you can keep describing it, but I can definitely jump in a little bit once you're done giving the summary.
I just want to know, do you get to like fight people with your golf clubs at all?
Yes.
You can do a lot of non-golf related stuff in this golf game.
That is
yes.
primarily the game.
There's actually a lot of meat on this game. It's like a 16 to 20 hour RPG, depending on if you do all just the main story or some of the side quests. The best part is the mini games. My favorite mini game in the game was I walked up to a group of 4 golfers, and the first golfer, he says, I only like to hit on the green grass because it feels good on my toes. So you complete the course hitting only the green grass. The second guy says, I only like to hit off of the rough because it's thicker than the regular grass and it feels better on your toes. So then you complete the course only hitting it through the rough. Third guy is the deep rough, same story. It's even thicker than the rough, so I like it in my toes. And then the very last guy is, I'm from the beach, so I only like to hit out of the sand because it feels even better in your toes. So you complete the same course 4 times, but the stipulation is each time you can only hit one different piece of the course. So you can only hit the sand or the rough or the green or the deep rough. It was hilarious, each time it adds a little bit of challenge. You're doing the course a different way each time. And I think a lot of the mini games or stuff like that, sometimes the hole is, half the screen and you have giant golf balls and you're hitting it into the hole. But I think the best part of the game is it's actually a good golf game. Like the golf mechanics are fun. They're challenging. There's wind and the clubs. You can hit harder and shorter to try to get into the hole. It's a good game.
Mm-hmm. I know that this is a super small part of the game, but I remember one of the first missions that you get, you go to like the tutorial area and you play through, and then they have like different worlds basically. So it gets kind of into like the fantasy, fictional kind of place when it as the story continues. So the first place you go to is like a Neanderthal prehistoric kind of place, and all are wearing like, fur loincloths and shit like that. And to go in there to become a member on their course, you talk to the guy at the front, and he's like, you have to be able to swing a certain strength to play on this course. And the way that you show him how strong that you can swing is you go point blank staring at him, and you basically have to. It's like a 3-line or a 3-bar aligner where you have to like hit X at the right times to get like full swing, and basically you just rail him with a golf ball at point blank. And so if you get it right, he kind of stands there and he kind of like waves back and forth. He's like, okay, you're strong enough. But it was a good introduction to like this game, because the tutorial area is pretty cut and dry with like, let's explain how the golfing works. There's some great funny moments, but when you go to the next area, then it becomes like, okay, we're gonna start throwing some wacky shit at you. And that was like a really great first impression of like, this game is gonna get a little wild. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot more out of the game than I expected. It's a golf RPG. How good can it be? But it's great.
I'm super curious about this, and I'm definitely going to look up some videos on this game.
It's on the Switch, and it's a really fun... I don't know if there's any multiplayer, but it's really fun to just pick up and play casually. I mean, golfing, it's not like... it's not too strategic. It's a very casual playing game, but they do enough to mix it up where it doesn't feel overly repetitive. That being said, I didn't end up finishing it because it demands a lot of time, but I definitely got enough bang for my buck.
There is multiplayer. There's there's a 2-player mode where you get to pick the course and sort of what's going on in the course. You can change the wind and some of the interactions from the course, because each course also has a different sort of set of rule sets. Like there's one course where there's moles on the course, and if you hit into the mole circle, they'll take your ball and they'll move it. There's one where it's the same thing except for birds, and the different colored birds will move your ball to different locations on the course. So you get to turn some of that on and off in the 2-player mode. You can play just regular golf or super wacky golf.
Super wacky golf.
Yeah.
All right. So that's your number 5.
That's my number 5. Number 4 is the Untitled Goose Game.
Seriously? Okay.
I absolutely love this game. So I bought this game as a meme after I watched the Donkey video, as probably a lot of people did. Rake in the Lake, of course. But it's actually a super fun game. It's, you just get to be an asshole goose, and you just get to go around and mess with all the different people that live in this little town. It's got very fun tasks. You spawn in with a sheet of, depending on what area you're in, a sheet of things to accomplish before you can move on to the next area. The first area you're messing with the groundskeeper, so one of the tasks is getting his rake into the lake, getting him wet, creating a picnic. There's only like 3 controls. You can honk, you can pick stuff up, and you can flap your wings. It's so fun. I actually, I bought this game and I sat down and I played it in one sit through. My only gripe with it is it's way too short. There could have been, for what it was, it's very much worth the money that you pay to buy it. But I could have kept playing that game for 20 more hours. It's so fun.
Yeah.
The music is super good. It's really subtle piano music, and it really ramps up when you're being a naughty little goose. And that's all the game is. It's just being a naughty little goose and getting some chaos going in this little town.
So there was a great guy. I think it's the first recorded speedrun of the game. There was a guy who beat it in 3 minutes. It's insane. He does this.
I'll have to look that up.
It's so funny. And as he's doing it, he wall clips through 3 things. Honestly, from start to finish, I can't remember it exactly, but there's no way it's more than 8 minutes long. I think it's less than 5. And he just flies through the game, and it goes to show that even though this game isn't exactly 8 minutes long, I think that an average play is 2 hours or something like that. It's really a pretty short game. All the puzzles, from what I can tell, are pretty simple. It's just kind of how much fun are you gonna, or how much time are you gonna spend kind of messing around until you decide to like finish the task at hand.
How long
So-
did it take you
so
to put
I'd
the rake
say-
in the lake?
First try. It's super easy. I think the main, like, there's two sections of the game. There's the first playthrough, and then there's the epilogue where the challenges are a little bit harder. You sort of have to mix together the different areas. The first time there's 5 different areas. The first time each task is completed in the area, and then the epilogue of the game, the tasks are completed. Like, sometimes you have to bring something from the first area to the third area or whatever. I think the main story of the game is probably only an hour and a half, 2 hours long, and then the second part of the game is probably 2 to 3 hours. I had to look a couple of I had to use the wiki a couple of times to figure out how to beat a challenge. So there are some challenging aspects in the second half.
Okay. Well, it's good that it's got a little bit of replayability, though. I mean, it was nice of them to throw in that epilogue type of
Yeah.
gameplay.
Yeah, so fun.
How much is the game normally? Like $20 or something?
Yeah, it's $20.
Okay. I was trying to tell myself what I would realistically what I would pay to play that game, and it's tough because hearing that the game is only 3 or so hours, it pushes me away, but knowing that there's this epilogue which basically doubles the time, that makes it a little more... I mean, like, Portal 1, for example, was like, 3 hours long or something, and I would pay good money to replay that for the first time, so maybe I'll reconsider it.
I got it on sale for $15, so it does go on sale on the
Okay.
Switch. So
That's good
Yeah.
to know. Because, I agree with you, Ben. Like, the whole thing for me not picking it up was because I knew it was super short. So I didn't want to spend, like, $20 on a game that would only last me a little bit. Especially for me who sinks hundreds of hours into games. So,
I'm really impressed with, honestly, I mean, we talked about this before, and not to tangent too long, but it's insane to me, Cole, that you've played 2 games this year, that you've gone over 100 hours in each game. Like, that is an absurd amount of hours in video gaming in general, let alone just 2 titles.
I have no life. I literally do nothing except for play video games. That is it.
all right, my number 3 is,
Solid transition.
is Slay the Spire, which we're going to talk about later.
Yes, we are.
So Slay the Spire, like as I was trying to explain before, is a card
Shut
game.
up, Cole.
Get out of here. All right. Mr. Ben's turn. My number 5 is a game that I tried to convince Cole and Sam to play because it's free and it's awesome, and they're going to shit all over me the second I say it, but it's the Eternal card game. It's great. I love it.
Why
So,
not just play Hearthstone?
because
Seriously, why don't you just play Hearthstone?
You have to buy your way to win that game. I mean, it's...
Who's playing to win? Not to tangent too hard.
I
Continue
don't-
talking about Eternal
No.
Heart game.
But this is a good conversation though. Is why play Eternal when Hearthstone is more publicly played or more widely played, and I mean it probably looks a little bit better too. I found Eternal card game to be great with the sense that it incorporates a lot of things from the game Magic the Gathering. So you have to collect and play your own resources, which
Ooh, Magic sucks.
yeah. So a lot of people found that as a problem with it. You guys found it as a problem where you didn't like that, but it's different. It's like Mario Kart adding in the items. Like if you just naturally get resources, then it just comes down to who has the best cards. But when you have to, when you're playing Mario Kart, if there's no items, it's just who's the best racer. But when you have items, when you have these resource cards, sometimes they don't come up and you just get screwed. So it makes a huge difference. It means that the underdog can occasionally win sometimes. It's not always that, it comes down to the RNG of the game. It's also that there is a possibility for the person who just has resources show up to come out on top. So that's what I really liked about Eternal Card Game. There's people that, the second that you lock into a game with them, you can see, like, they've got, like, the golden insignia sign, and they're throwing down, like, the same way that Hearthstone cards can be, like, glittery and nice, and they have, like, the moving background. Eternal Card Game has that as well. And so you'll be playing against someone like that, and then, like, they won't get any resources, and I'll beat them. And it's like a 1 in 5 chance that I should have won, but sometimes you scrape it together, and that's what I liked more about Eternal Card Game. So,
Okay.
yeah, I know that neither of you have anything much to say about it because neither of you played it for more than 5 minutes, but
I never played it, yeah.
well, there you go.
Yeah, games like that where you have to have the resources in your actual deck were never any kind of card game that I really enjoyed. So I couldn't get on board with this one. I way rather play Hearthstone where you you know what resources you're gonna have and you don't have to worry about like stacking your deck to have the right amount of resources.
Sure. Another thing that was different about Eternal Card Game is that the attacker decides who attacks, but the defender decides who defends. So you can't say that this guy is going to attack that guy. You can only say him, him, and him. They're going to attack, and then the defender has to say where the damage gets dispersed. So it gives a lot more attention to defending.
So it's the same as...
What's that?
It's the same as Magic then, right?
Yeah, that's what I said, is it pulls a lot from Magic. The resources, and you get to dictate... The defender gets to dictate where the damage goes.
Yeah. So
my number 5 was Eternal Card Game, and it is free. You can play it on Nintendo Switch, your phone, Steam, all that. It's great. If you are looking for something other than Hearthstone, give it a shot. He said to no one.
I might download it on my phone and try it. I don't play Hearthstone very much anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I like having a good card phone game to play. I might try it out.
Give it a shot. The last thing I'm going to say about it, too, is that they actually give out a decent amount of card decks every time that you win. I mean, you get, like, Hearthstone gets experience or gold or whatever, but Eternal Card Game, you get, like, 11 or 12 cards with every pack, and you probably can get 2 or 3 packs a day. So there's a lot more return of investment, I think. It doesn't feel like such a grind. So my number 4 is a game I don't think either of you had played, but let me know. It's called Nier Automata.
I've heard of it, but I've never played it.
Okay. Same.
Okay. So this game came out a couple years ago, maybe 2, and it's super cool. It was probably one of the most underrated games that I'd come across, and I decided to pick up. I played it right at the beginning of the year, so honestly I can't remember the specifics about it, but basically the overall idea is if you've ever played, it's like a hack and slash. If you've ever played, Devil May Cry, or, Kingdom Hearts is technically a hack and slash too. It's basically like you just have insane combos and abilities that you use against a horde of enemies. But the thing that really sticks out with the game is that you can play through it, and there's a different story. You play through the same game 3 or 4 times, and each time you play through it, you play as a different character during the same timeline, or after you play the first 2 times, which are parallel stories, then it gets on to like the epilogue, and then the thing afterwards. Like the story basically summarizes itself 4 separate times for 4 separate characters, and then it expands more and more. But you basically have no idea what's going on until the absolute end, which is one of the coolest things about it. The first time you play, it's like 4 hours long, and then it just ends, and you're like, I don't even know what the fuck happened. I enjoyed the game, but what the heck was all that about? Then the game starts up again. You're like, oh shit, I'm playing as the side character now, and then he's got new abilities, and you play, and you get to re-experience it. And then the next time, then instead of playing that same story again, then it goes on to like what happened afterwards, and then it felt like it had a bunch of twists and turns, and it kept being very, very secretive about what it was trying to show you until the absolute end, which was one of the coolest things about it. But the other thing too is that the game just felt like it honestly had some fantastic progression with how much it ramped up. And I guess it's hard to talk so ambiguously about a game because I don't want to give anything away, and neither of you have played it, so I think I'm just going to end it there.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely been one of the games I've wanted to play, and it's definitely something that I've heard amazing things about. Just like I have heard a lot about about the actual like storyline itself. um, which seems really intriguing for that kind of game. So, yeah, it sounds
I
really
don't
fun.
play
I'm
hack and
jealous.
slash games.
What was that, Sam?
I don't play hack and slash games, so I
Sam-
have no interest in this.
Sam, you
Yeah.
would love this game. It has a great story. I know.
It looked a little anime to me too. So
It is pretty anime. Everything about it just screams anime, honestly. The main characters all wear blindfolds and they're all like super hot women who dress in really skimpy clothes. Like you look at the game and you're like, this is totally appealing to an Eastern crowd. But I
But
played
they're
it and I thought
white.
it was awesome.
like pale white, like too white, right?
It's too white.
Well, there's supposed to be robots in the game. It's not a spoiler or anything. They tell you like within the first 5 seconds. They're like, "The robots. We're talking about robots, by the way."
It's robot time.
Robots in disguise.
And Brendan Fraser's a robot, and you play as Brendan Fraser.
He
No.
was so good in Scrubs.
Dude, Bedazzled, great movie.
So Ben, how many more things do you have on your list about robots?
1.
All right.
So, number 5 was Eternal Card Game. Number 4 was Nier Automata. Number 3 is a game that I just recently played. It is Resident Evil 2 Remake, and it was awesome. Neither of you played this, right?
I played the original.
I did not play it. I just watched videos on it.
Yeah. So
I'm looking into getting this game for Christmas or around the holiday time. I'm
Sure.
very interested.
I think you should definitely do that. So I had just talked about this maybe a week or two ago, so I'm going to skip over this a little bit. But basically, the game is a fantastic remake. I thoroughly enjoyed the first half of it. I thought the second half was a bit lacking, but all things considered, it's like Spider-Man I mentioned before. Everything is good, but the story sucks. Basically, Resident Evil 2, the first half was great, and then the second half came along, and everything was still great, but the story just kind of falls apart. Just because, honestly, everything with the Umbrella Corporation just kind of sucks. But when they have a very focused plot, or they have a very confined space that you work within, then the game is at its best. And that was basically the first 4 hours of Resident Evil 2. I was in heaven playing the first 4 hours. The second half was super good as well, but it just starts to fall apart a little bit with the story. Best thing about Resident Evil 2, though, is that once I finish up Spider-Man, I'm going to pop the disc back into my PS4, and I get to play basically a brand new alternate version of the game. They have 2 campaigns. They've got Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield, so I get to re-experience this game that I loved a second time. Basically why I'm pushing through Spider-Man right now is because I want to play Resident Evil 2 a second time.
So are you going to play it a third time once you beat the others?
You can play 4 different ways. So there's Leon Kennedy and Claire Redfield. You can play as 2 people, and you get the A story and the B story. Now, from what I have heard, I don't know if this is correct, but supposedly you can play either character with either story. So you could technically play A, B, and then switch the characters and play A, B again. But I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to play Claire Redfield's side and then be done with it.
My real question is, are you going to play tofu mode?
I don't know what
Resident
that
Evil?
is.
So if
Tofu
you
mode?
Yes, if you beat the game, or you beat both storylines as Claire and Leon, you unlock a third character, which is just you play as a block of tofu, and as the zombies try to munch on you, your tofu gets smaller and smaller. So you
Oh
try
my
to
God.
survive the thing as a cube of tofu and try to see how long you can go.
That's awesome.
That's hilarious.
As I said,
Dude.
I've watched a lot of videos on this, and I thought it was hilarious.
Dude, that's so cool. Resident Evil does this all the time, though. They have, like, I think that they were the ones that popularized New Game Plus. Maybe not, but they always have fantastic additional content beyond the game. So that makes me so happy to hear that. Honestly, this game, if I have played both campaign modes and played that, this would probably be up higher on the list, but that makes me so happy. It's great to hear. Like, I had heard that the game is an 8-hour campaign, and I was like, oh, that's kind of low. But then, bam, you get to play 2 campaigns, and now, Tofu Guy. Like,
Tofu.
So I'm all about that. So yeah, Eternal Card Game number 5, Nier Automata number 4, Resident Evil 2, that's my number 3. Cole, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is going to be Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
It sounds like you're just thinking it up on the spot. My number 2 is going to be...
My number 2...
Legend of Zelda?
What's on my list again? I think I wrote some games down. But no, the newest...
Die Hard? No.
The newest Smash Brothers is my number 2. I really enjoyed all of the new unlockable characters that you have. The fact that your roster is just ridiculously large. It's been really fun to play through. And then, like, the actual story mode, I had a lot of fun just playing the actual story mode because you have to constantly fight different, like, bosses and everything. And as you fight, you get spirits off of those people that you beat, and each of the bosses actually represent the spirits that they're holding, which is kind of cool. So, like, one of them is Ness's. It's supposed to be Ness's father from Earthbound.
Earthbound, yeah.
You never actually see his father. He's like this invisible figure. So in Smash Bros, you actually fight Snake, who's invisible, acting as like the fatherly figure who's invisible, trying to beat you up and stuff. So it's kind of cool that they like throw in those little like montages along the way. Kind of represent all these like spirits, and then just the whole spirit board concept of we're gonna kind of tie together our entire Nintendo history into one game and really kind of give representation for all these different characters throughout the years in different ways. Was really kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna back you up on this one, Cole. So
I'm not.
You gave a really weird example about a invisible man beating up his child, but I do understand where you're coming from, where they have... I don't think that this is an exaggeration. They have hundreds of specific customized battles that you go through on this map, and you slowly unlock the characters. It's probably like an 8-hour campaign on top of being one of the best fighters that there currently is too. I mean, it's just loaded with content, and there's like 75 plus characters that you can play as.
Yeah, it's super cool, and this game as well kind of like was a little bit of a big deal for me, especially this year moving to the Denver area. But I got really involved with a Super Smash Brothers tournament here in Denver. So because of this game, like, it really helped me meet some new people down here when I first moved. And it's been kind of just like really cool to be part of like a group that really has bonded over Super Smash Brothers as a game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's definitely always been a game that I've enjoyed playing. I do think it's a fun game that really anyone can kind of pick up. And you can play casually or you can play extremely competitive depending on how you're feeling.
Yeah.
So,
no, I agree with you. I think that game would have been on my top 5 if I had a group of people to play with, because it honestly has a ton of content, and I haven't touched it for months, except that last week I was at my cousin's house, and we pulled it out, and we played it for like 2 hours or so, just straight. And if I had had someone to play with in the last year, similarly to how I played it last week, it would be up there. But I mean, the only reason that it's not on my top 5 is simply because I just didn't have that group to play the group game with. But
yeah.
It's totally deserving of being one of the best games.
Yeah, and I actually originally wasn't planning on picking this up just because I do enjoy Super Smash Bros, but I kind of understand that like you have to have, like, after you beat the campaign, it's not really super fun unless you play with other people. And I kind of picked it up on a whim for a guys' night and stuff because I was like, I'll pick this game up. It'll be really fun. I'll bring it over to a friend's house. We'll play it. They can't get mad at me if I kick their ass because I've never played this game. I'm literally opening it up fresh in front of them. So it'll be really fun just to like start it off like straight out of the box. And
you
since
still
then I've
kicked their ass.
Oh, I still kicked their ass. Yeah.
You know why this game is a 0 out of 10?
Why?
No Waluigi.
Hey man,
There's like
There's one more.
40% Waluigi in it.
there's one more character coming out. I don't know when. They haven't announced when they're supposed to release the last character, right?
I'm not sure. The last guy was Terry Bogard, I think.
Yeah, it was Terry Bogard, and then they never said when they're going to release the next character. And you know what? My fingers are crossed. It's going to be Waluigi for the very last character.
It's not. It can't be. So I said 40% Waluigi's in the game because he's one of the summon that you can get right now. So you can summon Waluigi to just like fuck on people for you. There's no way that you could play as Waluigi summoning Waluigi. That would not make
That'd
any
be
sense.
Amazing.
It would be
Sounds
great,
so
but they're not
cool.
doing it.
I also don't play fighter games, so this was not something that I enjoyed.
Well, there you go. Let's have talk about Sam Day.
I don't have anything to contribute because I've never played either. I don't play hack and slash games. I don't really play fighter games. So
All right, so number 2 for Sam, Counter-Strike.
yeah, nope.
Number 2 for Sam or Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I don't play the games. I live the games.
I live them.
So number
What's
2
your number 2?
for Sam is Red Dead Redemption 2. And I'm counting this game. I played it last year, but I also I continued playing it into this year. So I got it around Christmas time last year, and then I continued playing it into this year when I completed the game.
Yeah. I think that's the important thing to do. Like, I excluded Spider-Man off my list because I'm technically not done playing the game, even though I technically started it this year. So you're okay.
Yeah. Okay. This game is this is the best open world game I've ever played. It's better than Grand Theft Auto 5, depending, I guess, if you want to be a cowboy or a gangster.
Why not both?
You could play both of the games. This is going to be the only AAA game on my list because it's the only one deserving of a spot on the top 5 list. It's you can do anything you want in this game. There's so much content. You can just run around on your horse all game. You can fish. You can gamble. You can drink. You can, ignore the story for 60 hours and still be having fun the whole time. The game looks amazing. The world feels alive. You can alter the look of your character, not only the clothes you wear, but your facial hair and your hair. It's got a really good story. Rockstar isn't really known for the stories, but the story is really good from start to finish. The reason that this falls at number 2 and not number 1 is because the last half of the game gets a little repetitive, and it's having you go from one side of the map to the other, and then you go back. And it's just a long haul to go from one side to the other on a horse. It's very long. But the first half, the part from when you get out of the snow till the part that you go to the island, that's one of the best games I've ever played for sure.
I wanted to back Sam up on one part and then say something against him on another part. So he was talking about the customization in the game, and he mentioned the hair. And the hair is probably one of the coolest modern features I've seen in a game. It'll take your guy an in-game amount of time to grow a realistic amount of hair. If you don't shave your face for a couple days, you have to go to a barber and get your face shaved. And I mean, it's just such a cool thing. I've never had to worry about getting my face shaved in a game before. You hardly even have to fucking worry about eating food in games. And this game has you going to barbers and shaving your face if you want to maintain a certain look. That was a super cool level of depth that they brought to the series. The other thing I'm going to say against you though, Sam, is that I hated that the second you get in trouble with the police or enforcement in that game, you have to pay a bounty. There's no way around it. They kill you, and they will keep killing you every time you show up into that town. And if you don't have any money, you're just kind of fucked. So I was curious what you thought about that. Support your argument on why the game is still good, because that ruined the whole thing for me.
So you can change your clothes and wear disguise and still go into the town. It doesn't get rid of your bounty, but you can still go in there if you change your clothes or wear a mask or whatever. The cops will come after you if you start wearing a mask around. But that was a bad part. But just have money.
it's like impossible to get money in that game. Like GTA 5, the way to make in any GTA game is kill people, take their money, run over a bunch of people or whatever, grab their money, keep going, whatever. But basically in that game, because the bounty's always compiling, the more people that you kill to steal money from, the greater your bounty's going to be. The only way that you can pay off your debt, and after you go on like a single rampage, which the games are known for having a do whatever you want, kill whoever you want, steal whatever you want kind of attitude to them. And then they have this hyper-realistic approach where, like, I can't remember what happened. I was shooting a guy and I shot his horse, and then they fined me like a ton of money. And then anytime I went into the town, they kept attacking me. Like, it was weird that they added that in when I'm just so familiar with doing whatever I wanted to in those games.
I think, like, as long as you weren't doing those things in town, I did a ton of highway robberies. But if you weren't in the town, or if nobody caught you, you got away with it. So as long as you killed your victims, nobody knew about it. Like, even if the cops came after you, if you killed them, they wouldn't, like, go back to the town and tell on you, depending on how far away you were.
That's the
equivalent. You gotta kill people.
That's the equivalent of saying, like, you can kill and rob and steal anything that you want in Grand Theft Auto as long as you don't do it in a big enough city. Like, the main fun part is doing it in a big city, killing a bunch of people. Like, the more people, the more fun. So, yeah, I can understand that there's ways around it, but it still felt like I wish that there was a button to just kind of omit that. And otherwise, the game was great, but I got to a point where I went on this crazy rampage, and then I was like, okay, I want to play the real game now. And every time I went into town to do a mission, they were like, oh, that's the guy! They didn't like me.
I guess when I went on a couple of rampages, but usually I would just save beforehand and then kill everyone and then load the game.
Yeah.
So, you're right there. You are right.
Did you ever do the online for that game at all?
You cut out, what?
You cut out, yeah.
Oh, I was wondering, did you ever do the online for that game?
I played the online when it came out for maybe a week. It wasn't very good.
Okay. So I heard there was like updates like where you can get like professions of like a trapper or a gambler or a bounty hunter and stuff like that.
That sounds pretty cool.
With the latest updates, so I wasn't sure if you had tried any of those.
No, I only played the online right when it came out, and it came out there was no gambling. The cost of everything was like insane.
Oh,
they wanted you to buy in-game currency real bad.
I remember there was a good article about this.
You got a terrible horse, you got a terrible gun. So like having just beat the campaign and having all of the best weapons, all of the best horses, it just felt like such a step back that it wasn't worth playing.
Okay.
There's a ton of griefing too.
Yeah, I've heard the griefing's really bad.
In the middle of missions, there could be random people coming up and just killing you and causing your online mission to fail. So.
Yeah, I heard like stories of like people just playing by themselves, like just trying to take out like little forts, just for fun online, and then like a posse of people like coming through, kind of sniping the person that was trying to do it by themselves and just like taking all of the stuff for themselves. Just sounded kind of dumb.
There was one mission that I was trying to do with a couple of roommates, and this was right when we started the game, and this guy must have spent a lot of money because he had a lot of ammo, which also you had to buy, and it was insanely expensive, which was really dumb. But we were trying to like cross the map to just explore, and there was this guy that followed us the entire time and just killed us over and over, which was super fun. Very enjoyable experience.
I can tell.
10 out of 10 would do again.
Please murder me more.
Please.
And I'm pretty sure that was the last time that I played online.
Solid.
But I played we would run around on our horses and you could kill each other's horses. That was hilarious. Killing my friend's horses. And then getting very mad about it. You have to buy horse insurance, or else you get reset to the level 1 horse.
Oh no! Oh no!
And horse, like right when it came out, everything was super expensive, so none of us had horse insurance. So, you would like knock them off their horse, and then you would just shoot the horse in the head, and then we're back to the level 1 horse.
Oh god, that's funny.
So
Can't
griefing
afford
is
insurance.
griefing is fun if you're doing it to your friends. That's the moral of the story.
I'm $300 in debt to my fucking horse insurance, paying luxury taxes out the ass.
Oh, man. All right, Ben. What is your number 2?
All right, so I couldn't decide if I was going to officially call this game a AAA or not. I mean, officially it is, but it's about 1 billion years old, so it doesn't look like a AAA anymore. I played Final Fantasy VII this year, and so that's my number 2. It was a great game.
This is the first time you've ever played it?
Yeah, I played the first hour or two beforehand and then abruptly quit in the past, but with the new Switch port, it adds some really great features. So speeding up the game 3 times is one of the new features if you buy the game on any of the modern consoles, and it is like freaking night and day. I mean, there's so much talking, and whenever the characters move from like one side of the screen to the other, they do it at like 0.0 miles an hour. It's so dumb, but then you just speed through all that shit and you're having a blast. So Final Fantasy VII, yeah, the first time I played it. Have either of you played this game?
I haven't played it at all.
Yeah, I also haven't played this.
Sam, this game seems right up your alley. How could you not enjoy 40 hours worth of talking?
I will look into it.
There's walking simulators, and then there's talking simulators. So Final Fantasy VII was awesome. What was that, Cole?
That's good to hear, because like I've heard a lot of gripes about like the original one, because I know the remake's coming out next year.
Yeah,
for this?
February,
Yeah.
March.
So like the first area that you're in the original always took super long to kind of get through, and it's just super grindy. So hearing that you can actually like speed through it is kind of nice. And especially because like I heard some people talking about like the remake, they were not excited because the first area was supposed to be doubled the amount of time in that area for the remake than it is in the original, which everyone got really upset because it's supposed to be the area that like sucks the most.
I mean, I would say it's at least doubled. So everything that I know about the remake is that it's going to be several discs of a game, and they're releasing it in portions. And Final Fantasy VII Remake, that they're coming out in 2020, is exclusively that first city, Midgar. And it's before you even fucking leave. So the entire contents of that game are still in that first city. So I don't know what to tell you, but I would imagine that they fleshed the heck out of the city and made it awesome, but maybe I'm dead wrong.
Hopefully.
It looks awesome, but anyway, so in the last year and a half or so, maybe 2 years, I've played Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, and Final Fantasy IX. And Final Fantasy IX would probably be my favorite, but I played that a little over a year ago. The one thing that Final Fantasy VII has over Final Fantasy IX, though, is that the customizations in moves is incredible. So as you play, you can... Like, have you guys have played Binding of Isaac, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you get one thing that like turns your tears into, you know, twice the size that they are, and then you get something else that doubles the speed of your tears, those two combine. If you get something that does like rapid fire, then you have big tears and they fire really fast and they fire really far now, and you know, then you increase the damage and now you're doing a ton, and then now you got like a blood beam that comes out of your eyes. Like basically everything you get piles on top of everything that you already have. Resident Evil 7 basically did that in a very limited sense, but they made it so that you can combine abilities with abilities. So there was one, basically the game can be as broken as you want it to be, which is the best part about it. They have some stupid impossible battles at the end. They're called Emerald Weapon and Ruby Weapon, and like with Ruby Weapon, let's just use him as an example. 2 of your characters die immediately, and you can only play one of the 3 characters against him. Like, that's how broken the game is they want you to basically fail. So,
Sounds like a good game.
Well, so it's supposed to be like the test of your strength. Like, you played the 40-hour game. If you want to just see how ridiculous this game can be, this is the bonus content. This is the equivalent of playing as a fucking piece of tofu in Resident Evil 2. So, initially you first try it and the game is broken, but then you start to play, like, now that your guy has gotten to, like, normal expectations of crazy powerful, then you go into absurdly powerful levels where you keep leveling your guy and you keep making these new combinations of magic. And there was a certain point where I had 4 separate combinations of the magic's called materia in this game. And so the combination was, if I die, I cast 1 more spell. And then the combined magic that I had with that is, or I'm sorry, if I die, I revive myself and I auto use a spell. And the magic that I had combined with that is that I summon a what is it? The best summon in the game, and I did that 4 times. So basically, I got to a point where my guy was so unbelievably powerful that the best strategy was to do nothing. So I went up against this guy called Ruby Weapon, and anytime I died, I came back to life and I summoned the best summon in the game 4 times in a row. And you can do that. I think the limit that happens, the game has to obviously have a limit to it, but because I had it 4 separate times, I think that I could come back to life maybe 8 times before it wouldn't allow me to come back to life anymore. So 8 times 4, I was casting my most impressive summon X amount of times, and basically the way to beat this guy is I started the battle, I put the controller down, I made an 8 lunge, and then I came back and he was dead.
Okay.
And there's a ton of other things that you can do with this game that will customize it. You can get your character to, just on a very simple sense, one of the first things, well, not one of the first things, but one of the first, like, OP moves that you get is whenever you attack something, you hit it 2 times. And it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. But then if you keep leveling that up, then you get it where you can attack 4 times. So in terms of, like, one guy hitting one thing once, now I have my strongest guy, and every time he attacks, he hits something 4 times in a row, and it just murders everything. Like, that is a simple scale of, like, how a really, like, basic game can go to, like, stupid, ridiculously powerful. Instead of doing X amount of damage, now I'm doing 4x damage. Like, it made your characters go from awesome to godly. And the game just goes out of control after a certain point. If you put enough hours into it, it's like a fucking, I don't know. I was gonna say it's like going Super Saiyan. Basically, you start out on very reasonable power levels, and then you go insane.
The anime references.
Yeah, there you go.
So you're hitting 100 power at that point, is what you would say?
You're over 9,000. If I'm gonna pull a meme from like 10 years ago. So the story was pretty good. I would say, aside from the combinations, I really liked Final Fantasy IX more, but the combat was so ridiculous in Final Fantasy VII. Like, you legitimately felt like your character was just like this walking god after a certain point. That's why I loved the game. It was the reason why I grinded all my guys to level 100, why I got all the best armor. Basically, I stuck around to do everything I could in Final Fantasy VII, and so that's why out of Final Fantasy VIII, Final Fantasy IX, that's why this one gets a spot on the best games of 2019. I honestly, it lived up to all the hype that I thought it would, and despite the freaking cube graphics and everything else, it still sits comfortably at my number 2 for the entire year.
Awesome.
The end.
The end. Good talk.
That was a good summary. Yeah.
He summed it up real good there.
Yeah. Before we move on to Cole, I just want to say that the additional battle, like, enhancements that you get for the new modern consoles totally is a reason why you should pick this game up. You can increase the speed of the game ×3. You can make it so your guys have always full health and can always do their limit breaks, their special abilities. And then the last thing you can do is just they never get into battles they never get into any random battles. So if you just want to play the game for the story, you can basically just have everything else fuck off and play the game for the story.
That's
you can
perfect
play the game
for me.
however you want. Yeah, Sam. No fun. Only story, please.
Only story.
I need more story.
Yeah. So I wish that they had an autosave and autoload feature, but other than that, I would say it's damn near perfect.
Alrighty. Well,
Getting on to number ones.
number ones. Let's get into it. We're at that 2-hour mark. Let's wrap this bad boy up with our number ones.
Like a present. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, motherfuckers.
You know, if you will say your number one, it'll end faster.
Sam's holding in a pretty massive piss, I'm assuming. Please go.
I'm holding it so badly. But my number one is the new Mario Party for the Switch. It's a game I've talked about a couple times now.
Even in this podcast.
Even in this
Even
podcast,
previously.
I really enjoy the hell out of this game. It is a game I got at the very beginning of the year. As I said, this is a game that I love to travel with. I love to have friends try out for the first time. It is super fun. And yeah, I won't go too much into it because I've already had this on another one of my top fives. But the new Mario Party for the Switch is my number one for this year.
All right, 2 questions. If you're looking to keep it short, then I'll keep the questions short. First question, out of 10, what would you rate it? A perfect 10 out of 10? A 9 out of 10? What do you think?
Realistically, I can't find a fault in this game. I would say almost a 10 out of 10 for me. It's super fun.
Dang. Second question is, what would be a reasonable price to buy this at? Would you say that $60 is very fair, or do you think that if you were going to recommend it to someone that they should like wait to get it for, I don't know, Nintendo games don't really go that cheap, like $50, $40, or do you think $60 is very fair?
So I think this one actually is on sale for the holiday season, which is nice. But I actually think $60 is well worth it. There's such a variety of game modes to play. There's a lot of different mini games to play. And as I said, like, this is a perfect game for people that are super casual gamers, and then those who game all the time. It's really fun because you can really make it as competitive or as laid back as you want.
All right.
Yeah, so I actually, it's one of the few times I actually feel totally fine paying full price for this game because it is well worth it.
All right. So go through your fives one more. Number 5, number 4.
I have a comment.
Oh, okay.
So I have played many Mario Party games with Cole in the past.
Sam has partied a lot, you might say.
I've done a bit of it, and I had never liked the Mario Party games. We played the 64, a couple different 64 versions, and it always felt broken and not fun, especially the mini games. Like, if you had ever played the mini games before, you were gonna win versus somebody who had never had.
Oh, absolutely.
But I also have played the Switch version with Cole, and it is extraordinarily fun. And I think it's just definitely deserving of a spot on a top 5 list.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay, I might have to get it. You guys are making it sound pretty good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
As Sam says, like, he's a guy who has never really played Mario Party, except for with me, who's played Mario Party like since it originally came out. And the fact that like the games are like that fun and that easy to really get into, it's really nice.
All right.
I'm still probably not going to win any of the mini games, but it might be a little competitive.
Still the best minigame in it is just cooking your little
Flip the
cube.
burger.
Flip the
burger.
meat. You gotta flip the meat. It's the best game. It's so.
It is. It's
so
the best
good.
game.
Oh my gosh.
So yes, Ben, get it. You'll love it. It's super fun.
All right.
I would put that would be my one qualifier. I think it wouldn't be like I haven't bought it because I don't think I could convince anybody to play it with me. I think you definitely need at least one other person that's willing to play it with you before I would recommend buying the game.
I could agree with that.
Being a party game with party in the name.
Ben, you could play with your mom. She'd love it.
Party.
Yeah, that would work.
There you go. All right. one more time through your 5-1.
You
Cole.
don't want to go all the way through everyone else's, then we'll do a full recap. But sure. My number 5 was Teamfight Tactics. My number 4 was Monster Hunter World. Number 3, Slay the Spire. Number 2, Smash Brothers. And number 1, Mario Party.
All right.
Please go
Sam?
through yours so we can finally talk about that one game that I've been wanting to talk about. God damn it.
My number 1, best game of 2019, Teamfight Tactics.
What? I'm actually very
Shocker.
surprised. I'm actually surprised that you
Shocker.
put this as your number 1.
So this auto chess is a new thing this year. It might have started in 2018. I'm not sure. But what did Riot Games do? They did what they're best at. They stole a game idea and they made it better.
Oh, better yet, they stole it from the one person that they steal all of their ideas from.
They're so good at stealing shit from
Nintendo.
Valve.
They stole the auto chess from Dota, which is great. Keep
This
the trend
game,
going.
this game was the game that I was the most excited about by far this year. I downloaded Dota to play auto chess before this game came out, so I could get a bit of an understanding of how the gameplay was. The week before the game came out, it was out on the public beta, and I went over to one of my friend's house who had it open on the public beta because I couldn't get into the public beta every day that week to play the game before it came out. The first day it came out, I skipped work. I took a vacation day just to stay home and play this game. I haven't done that since high school, skipping school to play a game that just came out. I was
What a
so
champ.
so hyped to play this game. It didn't work the first day. I think I got 3 games in, but
Oh, yeah.
That's
the
besides
first
the
day,
point.
the queues were ridiculously long.
yeah, each game you played, they added a half an hour to the queue, and I think we got through 3 games. So the last one we had an hour and a half queue, but we stuck through it to play one more game. That's how good it was. Right when it came out. I don't play it as much now as I did when it came out. It's a little too RNG based. The Series 2, they came out with, the board does different things and there's different characters now. I think it's a little less fun than the first series. But overall, it's just fun, simple, quick, fast. You could pick it up and play it without ever playing League of Legends and, kind of understand what you're doing within a couple of rounds. As soon as they release this game on the phone, which they are going to do soon, I'm going to be playing this game every single day.
Yeah, I actually was surprised that you put this as your number 1, just because you kind of did drop off on playing this once the newest season kind of came out, and kind of once the whole, the RNG was just so ridiculous for it.
The RNG was so bad, and they came out with a ranked mode for this game, and it's the exact opposite of what I want. When I'm playing Teamfight Tactics, I just want to have fun, try a new random combo of people that I've never tried before. I don't want to have to be trying to win, because it takes the complete point, in my opinion, of this game, and it just gets rid of it. So
On
I
the
don't like the
opposite
ranked.
side, I very much enjoy the ranked, but I'm also a person who tries to play ranked all the time for all the things, and I was pretty stoked on myself for just making gold in the very first season of Teamfight Tactics. So
Yeah, did you have anything to add? This was on your list as well.
it was, and I mean, I would say I do kind of agree. I did enjoy the first season of it a lot more. I do think season 2 seems to be way more balanced than season 1, which is kind of nice. So your team comps don't have to be as reliant on RNG. It's still a factor, of course, but I feel like because there's so many different combinations now, that you can actually, depending on what you get, you can kind of just make it work into your comp a lot easier than you had to in the past. And also, items aren't as broken as they were in the very first season. Pretty much because the first season you could just have a Draven that sat in the back corner with a Bloodthirster and a Guardian Angel and could just win the game for you. Now you can't do that at all, and I kind of like that they changed it up. Even though I do miss kind of the ranged champions that they had before. So
I don't like the new hexagon tiles, like the cloud, like the Drake hexagon tiles. The cloud gives you dodge or whatever, but it kind of messes with the way that you want to set up your team. Usually you would do, front line, back line. And it kind of, I guess it's good because it makes you think a little bit more, but I'm not trying to think.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. For me personally, I don't think too much about my lineup with those new tiles. Like, of course, I still have my front line, back line, but if the special tile is on the front line, for me, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just use it on one of my frontline characters. I'm not going to worry about giving my backline a boost then. So, just because I don't think they make as big of a difference as you would think. They kind of toned them down, so they give like small buffs, but not like super crazy buffs that are game changing. No, but
I'm
that's
going to quickly jump in here and say I don't know anything about this game, but to show how much that Sam has been playing this game, we had a friend jump into our chat while we were having this podcast and message us TFT. So it goes to show that it sounds like you guys are playing it pretty regularly here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was funny.
Yeah. Another gripe that I have about Teamfight Tactics, because there's gripes with everything, is how hard Riot is pushing this game mode. It in my opinion, it's completely separate than League of Legends, or it should be completely separate. It's the only thing that it shares with League is the characters. The gameplay is like totally different, and they've gotten rid of a lot of League of Legends content in exchange for Teamfight Tactics.
And
Can
they're
you
just explain that a little bit more? I'm curious. I don't know anything about it.
So they've gotten rid of the 3v3 mode, which was just, instead of 5v5s, it was 3v3s, which is something that I played a lot.
That was our game mode right there.
That was our game mode.
You're talking about League of Legends,
League
right?
of
Not
Legends.
TFT.
Yes.
Yeah.
League of Legends.
Yeah, I love Twisted Tree Line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they've completely gotten rid of Twisted Tree Line because, like, instead of putting resources into balancing Twisted Tree Line, they're just focusing more on Teamfight Tactics.
Yeah. That does make me really sad because I know one of their biggest things, and this is what they've been pushing a lot for it, is the competitive scene for Teamfight Tactics. They just pushed it in their All-Stars Invitational that happened a little while ago. They were really pushing the Teamfight Tactics in that one, and had a whole separate tournament that they broadcasted for Teamfight Tactics just because of it.
I'm
makes
fairly
sense,
sure,
though, because I mean, this is a game that, or I'm sorry, this is a new category of games that you're not really sure. Like 3 different companies have come out with basically the same game in the span of like 2 or 3 months. So it makes sense that they're trying to be the big dog. I don't know why that was the first one that came to mind.
Big dog.
But they've got a lot of competition right now that they've got to really stress.
Yeah,
it's not fun to watch competitively. There's too much going on. 8 screens at once. 8 people fighting each other at once. It's very confusing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't like the huge competitive scene. I do actually enjoy watching this one on stream more than I do actual regular League of Legends. So I watch Skara constantly on Twitch play Teamfight Tactics. And I find it just like really, really enjoyable just to watch him casually play it. So
it's kind of like how they do with Fortnite, though. I mean, they've got 100 different people, and I'm sure that they'll find a way to figure out how to live broadcast that. But like Fortnite, I watched the last World Championship, and they actually did a pretty good job of covering 100 people. I'm sure.
I've watched a little bit of PUBG, and I've watched a little bit of Overwatch competitive, and I think there's just way too much going on in those kind of games. Which, I mean, it's different, but it's the same amount. Like, there's just too many people for you to really be able to focus on what you want to watch in the match, versus League of Legends, where it's one team versus one team. Counter-Strike, it's one team versus one team. It's a little more easy to follow and watch.
Yeah.
Sure.
Overwatch is one team versus one team, but it's got all the abilities, and it's really hard to follow when you're watching what's exactly happening.
Well, League's been around for so long that it's very predictable. You know that at a certain point in the game, the junglers are going to get this, then that, and then they're probably going to try to gank bottom or top or something. So there's a lot of ways that, even though each game is different, you can predict what's going to happen generally. You know, team fights happen around when the dragon first appears or whatever. So I think that they just have to figure out what the meta is and get like a pretty standard strategy for the game, and then they can start to better record how they're going to predict actions.
Yeah, true. So yeah, that's my number one game of the year.
I might have to give it a shot. I told myself that number one, you know, the best games of the year for whatever you guys said, that I would really, I mean, that goes, no one takes that with a light heart. Like, out of the last dozens of games that you've played, this is your number one. And TFT is a free game, so I hate League of Legends with a passion lately, but I might have to give it a shot. It sounds like you guys are really passionate about it.
I've been telling you for ages that you should just come back and try it.
Yeah, I'll play with you. We both will.
All right.
Play
All right.
with me.
The crack dealers.
So
calling me back.
running down my top 5 was Golf Story at number 5, Untitled Goose Game at number 4, Slay the Spire at number 3, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 2, fitting, and Teamfight Tactics at number 1.
Nice. All right, so my number one, as you guys can probably imagine, is Slay the Spire.
Shocker.
It's about time we get to talk about this game. God damn.
Unexpected.
I know. So it's the one game that I think all three of us have. It's the trifecta. So I guess I'll start since it's my number one, but realistically we can all contribute towards it. I thought this game was awesome. I thought that not only is it a fresh, brand new IP, but also it's a fucking time sink. Anytime I opened up this game, it would be hours upon hours that would just be like, psh, gone. And
For sure.
I love that.
Oh yeah, this was definitely, for me, was a game I would put something on Netflix on one screen and open this up on my other screen and just kind of play along while I'm just watching something in the background. Super fun, super casual, kind of just like go at it game.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much strategy that I came across. I've put almost 50 hours in this game, which to some people might not sound like a lot, but realistically, I was just glued to this game for the last, I don't even know, 4 months or something. And they're adding to it constantly. They've got a fourth person that's going to be coming into it. And they have, I don't know, ascension modes. Like, the difficulty can always ramp up. I think that's one of the coolest things too, is it's got insane replayability. I don't know, Sam, what are your thoughts on Slay the Spire?
So I really like deck building card games, like physical card games. I like Dominion. I play Dominion a lot with my family. And Cole, what is the spaceship one called? I can't remember.
That is called
Monopoly.
no
Nope.
Starfleet.
Yeah, Starfleet. So I really like deck building games in general. And this is just a perfect mix of a deck building roguelike video game. Before this, I had played a couple of roguelike games, and I never really got into them. But this game is so good, and the deck building roguelike fits together like, a hand in a glove. It fits together perfectly. The things that I had to say was that it's hard. It's so hard, especially at the beginning before you've unlocked some of the cards.
Yeah.
But losing doesn't feel bad. Each time you lose, you feel like you've learned something new for the next run. You come up with, I don't know, it could be the same strategy for everybody, but it felt like my own strategy based off of the ways that I was losing. And like eventually when you finally beat all 3 bosses, it feels so good, and then you can move on to the next character and start over and do it again. Each run of the game is completely different. You're going to get different cards every time. You can try to go for the same strategy, but sometimes a card will come up and you'll have to pick it because it sounds so good. And every time is different. I couldn't put this game down when I started playing it. I would dump hours and hours into it.
Yeah, agreed. I think one of my favorite things about the game is, as Sam was saying, it can be so brutally difficult. Honestly, it's like rolling a d20, and most of the times you're going to get like, just pretty average, okay cards to put into your deck, but every like 5th or 6th game that you play, you just have this fucking killer deck, and you're just flying through doing like hundreds of damage every enemy, and it is so satisfying to get to that point where you are just laying waste to everything. I mean, there's a certain point where I think the most damage I ever did to something was like over 3,000 damage. It was an insane amount. I had poison, and I got to the person, I got like 19 poison on the guy, and then I had triple someone's poison. So, I mean, I could do some like quick math here. I can't remember exactly. So, 19 times 3 is... No, I must have had like a ton more poison, but I tripled it, and then I tripled that, and then I tripled it a third time. I had 3 cards where I tripled the poison.
God.
And it was just an insane amount of hurt that I was sending that thing's way. I was doing... Yeah, I can't even remember. I did like 3,000 damage to this thing, and it was like this level 1 mob, like a really easy thing to kill. I think I got an achievement for like doing over 1,000 damage or something. It was just like this stupid little easy thing to kill. I just sent him to the grave. But my other favorite thing is like the characters are completely different. On one hand, you have the Ironclad, who is just strictly strength, like a tank and a brute in all sense of the word. He has a lot of health. He does a lot of damage, and that's basically it. He's very cut and dry. There's not a lot of strategy to him. The next person, the Assassin, they do a lot of compiling damage. You know, you do 3 damage here, 3 damage there, 3 damage here. You have shivs, you have poison that stacks. There's a lot more strategy with that character. And then you have the Defect, which is my favorite. He's a robot, and he does a ton of damage, but you can't direct where that damage is going to go. Basically, you just say he's going to do this amount of damage, and he just, like, fires it off into whatever enemy that he's going to hit. It's like a roll of the dice, but he's so much fun because you're doing a ton, and the one in few times that it hits the right target, it just, like, murders them. It's so fun.
So I'm actually curious, because you just said the Defect was your favorite. My favorite was the Assassin. I just loved throwing chips and poison on top of people. Sam, what was your favorite character?
I liked the challenge of the Ironclad.
Ooh,
he was the hardest one.
Yeah.
Lucky there.
Ironclad took me so freaking... I mean, Sam, you know this, but
Yeah.
Ironclad took me forever to beat. Sam took, like, 3 times as long to beat.
It took me forever.
Yeah. But it's because Ironclad, he's just got basically no strategy. I mean, you just have to have good cards, but they hardly work in conjunction with each other.
Yeah, the Ironclad was tough. It was all about trying to get cards that healed you, because all your other cards always did damage to you, so it was really tough to play that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I did just
I
pull...
went with shield stacking.
That's smart. I went
Shield
with
stacking
heal
is
factors.
super... Yeah. There's like a bunch of different strategies with each deck. That's the other cool thing, is 3 different characters, 3 different ways to play, and then multiple ways to play with those characters. I mean, I could play that game forever. I bought it on the computer on a Humble Bundle, and then I went to my brother's place in Oregon, and I was like, okay, I want to play this game. So on my Nintendo Switch, I bought it on the Switch full price again for $20, so I could then just play it on the airplane on the way there and the way back. And the flight is 3 hours long, and it went like that. I mean, I played 3 games, and I was in Oregon, and then on the way back, I played 3 games, and I was back in Illinois. I was like, oh my god, this is the best travel game.
Yeah,
Just sucks you in.
I have 70 hours in this game. I just looked it up.
Dinger. That's crazy.
Did you have anything to add, Cole? You didn't really say anything.
I mean, you guys kind of touched on everything. I mean, for me, I agree, like, super fun deck building. The only reason I put it lower was because I honestly didn't enjoy playing the other characters as much. I only played, or I won with all 3 champions, and then I only played the Assassin after that. And that's all I've played since. So that's the only reason why I put it a little lower.
Do you want to tell a quick story of how you got this game?
You know, it's hard. It's a little fuzzy on how I ended up with this game.
A little bad memory?
Yeah, a little bad memory. I think it's the drinking.
Yeah, that'll do it to you.
No,
A genie.
there was some guy, I forget what his name is. I think he got this game for me.
Mike.
You know, like, yeah,
Nope.
you're right. It was Mike got this for me.
Wrong.
No, it was Sam. Sam got this game for me. Had no idea what this game was, and he's like, "Just play this." And I was like, "Okay, I guess you got it for me. I guess I'll play it." And ended up getting way too sucked into this game. So thank you, Sam, for sucking away 70 hours of my life.
You're welcome for being a dum-dum. So I guess I could tell this story quickly.
I don't remember the actual story.
I am a member of Humble Monthly. So at the end of last year, I bought Humble Monthly. It was like $100 for 12 months. So I was like, sure, whatever. And I thought during that time that I was getting to pick the months that I wanted. So I like every once in a while I would pick a month and I would get those games. And then Ben started talking about Slay the Spire and how he got it on Humble Bundle, and I was like, oh, I looked into it and I decided to buy the game. So I bought it on Steam, started playing it, and then must have been months later, I looked at Humble Bundle, like my unclaimed keys, and every single Humble Monthly was sitting there waiting for me. It wasn't me getting to pick which games I got, it was just all of them.
Christmas
So I had
came early.
I had hundreds of games sitting there waiting for me, and Slay the Spire happened to be one of them. So I had already purchased it full price, so I gave it to Cole.
Woo! Thanks
Well, there you go.
for your stupidity, Sam. I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
It's dumb.
It worked out
Peanut
for me great.
brain. Yeah.
So good.
So yeah, Slay the Spire is my number 1. To go back through them again, number 5, Eternal Card Game. It's free, check it out.
Boo.
Number 4, Nier Automata. It was kind of a diamond in the rough, and just purely off of reading reviews and having none of my friends play it, I picked it up and it was great. 3, Resident Evil 2 Remake. It just held up to everything that everyone was talking about it. Number 2, Final Fantasy VII. Kind of held up the same way that Resident Evil 2 did, but it held up even with 20 plus years of just natural degradation of technology and a terrible visual. The game looks like shit. And then number 1, Slay the Spire. It is original. It is a game that for the most part flew under the radar. It is just a interesting combination of strategy and gameplay. So those are my 1 through 5. I was going to quickly mention 2 honorable mentions. I'm not going to get into them, just going to say them. First one is Celeste. Really great game to like jump around in, like Super Meat Boy. And then the next one is Spider-Man. It's good, but like I said, it's repetitive. Did you guys have any honorable mentions at all?
You know, I couldn't pick 5. I was having a really hard time with this. So I have a couple of honorable mentions. At the top of my honorable mentions is going to be Fire Emblem 3 Houses. I really enjoyed this game. I played a crazy amount of it. The ending kind of dropped off.
I'm
for
really
me.
surprised that it wasn't on your top 5, honestly, from how much you've been talking about it.
I know. When it came down to it, like, I was trying to think about what games I had the most fun with, and like I had a ton of fun with it, but I think that one, honestly, I think I just really enjoyed spending time with Cass playing it. So yeah. Outside of that, Ultimate Chicken Horse. It's another one that
That's a fun one. That's a fun one.
That one looked good. I can't wait to play it. I've got it just sitting in my library. I don't have anyone to play with.
Oh, you have to have someone to play with. It's super fun.
Dude, we should do Steam Link on it. Oh, you, me, and Sam. That would be so fun.
Dude, hell yeah, let's do it.
All right.
It's on Switch.
I'm down.
And then I also have Cluster Trucks. It's another one.
It's a really good one.
Game of just trying to jump from one truck to another. And then my last one is Subnautica that, of course, I've been talking about. But I didn't put on just because I haven't really finished it yet. And I've recently just played it. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sam, anything for you?
If any games were worth mentioning, they would be in the top 5.
Oh, snap.
I have
There
one
it is.
honorable mention. I played Resident
Jesus.
Fuck you guys for having honorable mentions, by the way.
I played Resident Evil Revelations for the first time this year. Switch port came out, and I really liked the game. It was super fun, but the controls are pretty wonky.
Yeah. I remember one specific line from the game where you're in the Arctic or something, and you're like trapped under ice, and you call for your partner, who is like this sexy Russian girl, and her response is, "You hang tight," as zombies are coming at you. She's like, "You hang tight. Me and my hot ass are on our way." And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
God,
it is.
no, that's the Capcom
Yeah.
Resident Evil writing I remember."
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Super fun gameplay though.
Cool.
So that's everything here. I was gonna say that this is gonna be the episode before. I was gonna say the holidays, but specifically the episode before next week being Christmas Eve, Christmas, all that. So I'm assuming we might not be able to have a podcast next week.
And after that, it's the New Year.
Yeah, so we'll see. Maybe we can fit one in between. But the next podcast's top 5 is actually going to be top 5 games of the decade. So
Starting it off strong.
That's insane.
it's going to be an insane list, but I took an hour or so to think about it, and I've been kind of reapproaching
A day or an hour. Those
or
are
the
much
other.
different.
Well, I took an hour to think of it the first time, and I've been re-evaluating it. I've been looking at it each day to be like, are we sure? And I think I've got a good list.
Oh God.
I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to think about this real hard.
Yeah.
Like,
There's so many games
decade
to
is-
forget about.
so long.
Yeah. Honestly, unless it was like a 9 or a 9.5 out of 10, like I didn't even consider it. Unless I didn't. If there was like any downtime in the game, I just kind of threw it to the wind. And I'm gonna have no honorable mentions for this list either. Kind of the same way that Sam did. Is you're either on the top 5, or if you're not first, you're last.
I'm just gonna have every game I've played over the last 10 years on my list.
There you go.
League of
All right,
Legends.
League
That's
of
it.
Legends. That's the best game for the last 10 years. Perfect.
So, games I'm going to be playing this week. Spider-Man. I actually never beat the Final Fantasy VIII ending boss, but I plan on doing that after Spider-Man, and then I'm going to go into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and that's going to be my next week's, or the next 2 weeks, because Christmas that I'll be playing. Sam, what are you going to be playing this week, and next week, and whatever?
I'm going to be away from my computer because I won't be where I live for the holidays. I might play some Switch games. I don't have anything planned really. One thing I am going to be playing a lot of is board games with the family, and I think at some point we should do top 5 board games.
Hell yeah.
I'd be down for that. All right, Cole?
I'm just gonna be playing Teamfight Tactics. Just League.
There you
Always
go.
League.
Typical.
All right, I'm also going to continue to watch Doom Patrol, the Robo Brendan Fraser show.
You gotta tell me how that is. I've heard some things about it, and I kind of want to watch it. So yeah.
Far, it's not bad. One episode, not bad.
Not bad. All right.
All right, that's it for me. This podcast running long, so I'm going to end it there.
All right.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Bye.